I don't know, 10, 15 or so at night. And we were talking, it's the middle of the football season, we were talking Alabama football. And I said something that I've been saying ever since, which was Nick Saban was not a great game day coach. He was not a great Saturday coach. Nick Saban did not beat you on Saturday with great tactics and manipulation. Nick Saban beat you in February by, at the time, just dominating the recruiting landscape. And he beat you in the springtime by having his team so well trained, so well disciplined that any little tiny mistake, the wrong half a step, the wrong splits by your offensive line, and Bama was going to beat you. And, those stack up for wins. But he's not a great game day coach. And I pointed out that there were plenty of good football coaches who out-coached Nick Saban with the X's and O's. He just had him beat in terms of having a better team and took advantage of that. Well, we had a similar to the station here. We had a doorbell that the door was always locked, and so when you push this doorbell, there was an app on our phone that let us know somebody was at the door, and so I got a little ding on my phone that said somebody was at the doorbell, which was unusual, but not out of the blue because, I would order food to be delivered sometimes. I'd have a pizza delivered during the show, or every now and then, because our radio station was like 2 blocks over from the primary Hooters. The guy that owned the franchises down there, he was the one that sponsored the show. He would occasionally just send a Hooters girl with wings over to the studio, right? I'd randomly, the doorbell would ring at 10:30, 11, and there'd just be a Hooters girl delivering the wings. If I told you it wasn't like 3 of the greatest years of my life, I'd be lying to you, okay? So
I think there are a lot of people in the audience asking why you left.
It was not my choice, I promise. If you're telling me I could have done a show from 9 to midnight for my entire life where Hooters girls just randomly showed up with wings and beer to my radio station, yeah, I'm going to do that forever. So the little bell goes off, and I assume it's one of my Hooters girls showing up. My favorite was Annie, and it wasn't. It was just some dude.
She have red hair?
She did not.
Okay.
She was a classic American blonde, about 6'2", smoke show. So, but it was not. So I looked
it's
at
probably
the
common in Florida, right?
It's not. I grew up next to the beach, man. So I look on my little app, and it's this guy. It's just this dude. But again, Stewart, who was the owner of those franchises, great dude. Stu would just send over anybody from the restaurant sometimes, right? It was usually a Hooters girl, but sometimes he'd send a GM or whoever, and he would drop food off for me. So I'm like, all right, let me go see who this is. Probably some Hooters wings for dinner. Probably maybe a little shrimp po' boy from the Hooters for dinner. And I go down there, and I open the door. Well, fortunately, this guy, I guess he had given up, and he was going back to his car. So I open up the door, and I put my head through, and I'm like, can I help you? And he goes, you Rob Brown? And I was like, yes, sir. And he turns, and he starts walking back to the door, and he's like, I'm going to whip your ass. And I was like, oh, click, lock the door. And it was like one of the big, thick glass industrial doors. But he walks back, and he starts pounding his fist on the door. And I was like, what? What, can I help you? And he goes, Nick Saban's the greatest coach of all time. I'm going to whip your ass. I was like, oh, okay. So I walk back upstairs, and I'm like, if this guy breaks the door down, I'm probably SOL, but whatever, So I go back upstairs, and then on our little doorbell thing, every time you hit the doorbell, it sent another notification to the system that somebody was ringing it. Then my phone, this guy stood down there for a solid 15, 17 minutes just hammering the doorbell. Now they knew that I was there. So eventually I had to call the cops and let them know what was going on. They came. I don't know what happened. They called me later, and they were like, hey, the guy's, he's left. He promised us he wasn't coming back. And I was like, okay, what next? And they go, call us if he comes back. Oh, for sure. You do know I don't live here. I have to leave at some point, right? So that night, it got to be about 12:30. It was time to go. Lonzo, I, first off, was like James Bonding, running surveillance around the whole parking lot before I went to the car. And then when it was time to get to the car, I ran a 40 faster than Cole Bryson to get to my car to get up out of there.
That's fast.
Yo, I was hauling. Smoke coming off the back of the heels. So that was the one time. The other time that we had an issue, also connected to the Hooters Sports Show, I was doing a show on Pensacola Beach, Florida. and there's a Hooters right on the beach in Pensacola Beach. So I was doing a show. It was for one of the bowl games. It was, I think, BCS era. It was one of the BCS games, and we were live on location. And there was a young lady who worked at the Hooters who I had been spending some time with, just a little bit of time with, and while we were doing the show, whenever I was on location, Stu, who was, again, the guy that owned the place, he would always pick the Hooters girl with the most rizz from whatever show we were doing the remote, or whatever station, restaurant we were doing the remote from, and he would make her my official Hooters co-host for the night, right? So he would pick whatever girl had the most personality, and he would give her a headset, and she would be my co-host for the night. Didn't matter if they knew sports or not. It was just about let cute girl giggle in the microphone to get the fellas to come out, and it worked like a dream. Well, he picked this girl that I had kind of like. I say that making myself sound like a sleazeball. I had literally gone on like 3 dates with this girl, and I thought it was going very nice. And this guy shows up about halfway through the remote. She's on the air with me, and he starts screaming at me that I was with his girl. And eventually, the GM of the restaurant had to come out and, like, not escort this guy, like, pick this guy up and leave him, or tail him out of the restaurant, like, carry him out of the restaurant. And I looked at this girl, and I was like, yo, what the hell was that? And she goes, this guy comes in, like, once a day, and he buys a few $100s in beer and wings and whatever, and he always tips me 100%, and he calls me his girlfriend, and we just found out he legitimately thinks I'm his girlfriend, like literally thinks I'm his girlfriend. So now he's been just showing up at random times, and anytime that I'm interacting with a dude, he's like, oh, you're talking to my girl. This is not the first time this happened. I was like, oh, all right. Well, I went to leave, and this dude was still hanging around in the parking lot, and the Pensacola PD had to pick him up and, like, take him away, and she had to file a restraining order against him. It was wild, but those are the only 2 times I've ever, like, legitimately had an issue on the radio. I'm a whoop your ass, Rob Brown.
Yeah, well, I just come from a really bad neighborhood, so I'm just naturally suspicious everywhere I go.
I mean, that's fair.
But it's not like it's a minivan sitting out there. It's a
van that if you were going to show up and try to catch somebody slipping, you'd drive this van.
It's an extended van with tinted windows. You can see it if you just take a step. It's right there.
Is that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. It's right there.
You know what this is going to be.
Perfect spot to do something. Someone's coming through the door. We recently had some employees no longer with us. There's unrest going on with other radio shows.
Unrest?
Well, there was a murder happened with someone who worked at another media place, not here.
Oh, I was like, what the hell?
Not here, but still.
I kind of feel like I'd have gotten an email about that.
No, not here, but still. So I mean, in current climates, well, any climate, you should be suspicious.
Oh, listen,
this early in the morning, something, and when I got out, I was a little suspicious, but the fact that it was running, I'm around keeping an eye on it while I'm in my car getting my stuff out, and rushing my hobbling booty up to the up to the door and getting in.
The wife tells me all the time that I need to be more tuned in and skeptical of my surroundings, because I am
situationally aware. That's what I'm talking about.
No, I mean, again, I'm situationally aware. I never, ever, ever assume that anything bad is going to happen. Like, and I acknowledge that, like, it could probably be a problem. I'm not.
Which is weird considering your outlook on life. I mean, you would think that would be part of it too.
It never comes into my brain. Like, there are times in play. Now, if it's at work and we get the, fellas come to my office after the show, yeah, I'm getting fired, right? Like, I'm worst case scenario. But if we're out and about, there is one time and one time only that I ever have that plan, and that's when I sit at a restaurant. For whatever reason, my brain, and I know what the reason is. It's because I got it from my dad. My dad taught me this. It was always know your exit strategy. Here's the thing. I don't do that in any other building I'm ever in. I've never walked into a bank, which is far more likely to have a situation result where I need an immediate escape plan. I've never walked in a bank and, like, clocked my exits. I've never walked into a shopping mall, probably far more likely to have an incident than a restaurant. I've never walked in a shopping mall and been like, okay, emergency exits located next to the Forever 21 and the TJ Maxx.
So here, do you know where all the exits are?
Yeah, I do, but that's only because I've been in this building 5 years
Do you
now.
know where the hidey places are if you need to hide?
Yeah, I think I would. I think
Okay.
I'm good. But
All
that's more just like seeing them throughout the day, right? Like if we were to leave here and go down to the mall to go pick up some cool new wrestling T-shirts or whatever,
Which is exactly what we do, once
most
a week.
days. I've been to that mall. I've been to the Haywood Mall 100,000 times since I moved here. I have no idea. I have to remind myself every time I go in there where the bathroom is. Where's by the food court, by the way. But like,
There's more than one.
that's the one I know. I probably walked past 2 to get to that one because that's the one I know.
There's
I
one
don't
back
do that
where
anywhere
I think
else.
Forever 21 used to be, and there used to be a nerd shop down
That does
there.
nothing for me. Every time I need to know
Past
where
the play
stores.
area. Do you know where the play area
I
is?
do because it's so loud.
Yeah, okay.
It's so
well,
unnecessarily
It's right,
loud.
right past that, there's restrooms.
All right, we got a lot we got to get to on the radio program today. Shout out to the Terriers of Wofford.
What a game.
Good God, what a game last night. That was, I can't definitively say that was the best college basketball game that I've watched so far this year, but
By the way,
I can tell you it's in the top
that's,
5.
That's what a college basketball game should look like.
I mean-
and the most pretty threes you've seen, I mean, both teams, when those threes were hitting, they were so
The
smooth.
last 9 minutes of the game, the Nets were on fire. That was unbelievable. I watched that game tip to final last night, and the last 8 minutes, I was in the middle of doing something, and the last 8 minutes, the wife was like, "Hey, why'd you stop?" And not that.
All right,
Okay,
dude,
not that.
dude,
not
I
that.
mean,
not that.
think of what you just
Listen,
did.
Listen.
That's on you.
Stop it. We're going on vacation. We were helping to get the house. I was helping to get the house cleaned up because we're having somebody come house sit for us. And I was cleaning up stuff. And then I stopped to watch basketball. She's like, "Why did you stop cleaning up the house?" And I was like, "Because this game is absolutely electric right now." The Rob Brown Show, the fan of state. Whatever. Oh, no. Oh, no.
So that was not intentional.
It absolutely was not. Oh, I'm real glad she's still sleeping and not listening.
Yeah, it's definitely still there.
It didn't appear to be running anymore. Or were the lights off?
The lights were off.
But it was still running?
Yes.
Oh, he can't see us because our faces.
Oh, no, you can see.
You can see through the faces?
Yeah.
You can see it?
Yeah, you can. If the TV's on, you can see the TV.
Ah.
Yeah. So you can. I mean, so we were standing right by a TV. There's a chance. Maybe
Yeah. But he can't see if we're not.
Now, do I make that into a promo? I don't know. I think that might go against the bro code. I don't think I can do that. It was awful funny, though. It's a very, very hard choice. It really is.
What's that?
Is it going against the bro code if I make that into a
No,
promo?
I already had it in my head. As soon as I did it, I'm like, that's promo.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some things we do that I
No,
think
that's-
is off, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to
No,
do
that's
that.
hilarious. Make that a promo.
Okay.
That's too good not to. I wish I didn't sound like but I don't care. That's as soon as I said it, I'm like, Lonzo doesn't make that a commercial, I will. That's why we win awards right there, people.
And I can't see your face, so I can't warn you. And I also
what I did.
can't.
As soon
And
as
I
it
also
came out.
can't tell what if you're doing it on purpose without seeing your face.
Nope.
And I just can't look at that screen. I got too many others. I mean,
You know what I thought?
it's easier for me to look up and see you
Oh,
than
you
it
can't
is
make
for
that
me.
full screen because you'll lose the chat.
No, I mean I can, but it's still over here,
I get what you're saying.
and it's not. You're in line of sight usually when you're sitting down, so I can just glance up, even though you don't think I'm looking. I am, and in this case,
You
I
want to get Chris to put there somewhere that's more accessible?
nah, we're good. I'll adjust.
As soon as that came out of my mouth hole, I Rob.
I hope it was a pretty suplex.
These are going to hurt you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me while I whip this out.
America.
You know, I've been doing this a long time. And like, once a blue moon,
What?
you say something that before you're done saying it, your brain goes, and that's what just happened.
This is up there for me with my COVID promo. I don't know if you remember about how it's being tested.
Oh,
And I
yeah,
said,
yeah. All time.
Yeah,
All time.
I will always remember that.
Soon
it was so
as-
dumb that I said it. It's like, oh no.
We were, you know what? I'm not even going to go back to it. If you heard it, you heard it. And if you didn't, it's going to be a commercial in 10 minutes. So stay tuned. Stay listening. You'll hear it.
Well, I'm not that fast, but it'll be up eventually.
Shout out to the Wofford Terriers. Shout out to the Furman Paladins and the Wofford Terriers, because I'm a college basketball fan, and you know, I'm a college basketball fan from the start of the holiday tournaments all the way up through, you know, one shining moment.
And see, I'm not. And I'm like, okay, this is on. I need to watch this because I know we're going to be talking about it. And it's like, oh, this is good. Oh, this is really good. Oh, they had a big lead. Oh, they're going to win. Oh, no, they're not going to win. Wow. So, I mean, it was good shooting. There's a bunch of non-calls by the referees, by the way.
They let the boys play.
The threes were pretty. I mean, it sounds like the crowd was good. I'm not quite sure what they were chanting. You can tell me later. I have some ideas.
I don't fully know.
Okay.
Cole and Diesel were up there. They did Wire to Wire live
I think
from
Cole was just there.
the arena. Oh, I thought they both were. Either way, Cole was putting up some videos on X last night. And from what I could tell, the crowd, I'm going to tell you this, the crowd was electric enough. I'm going next year, regardless of who's playing in it. I hope it's Wofford and Furman every single year forever, because I got to tell you, you know, we talk about rivalries in sports, and I've heard the Wofford-Furman rivalry. And, you know, every now and then we'll get a Terrier fan or a Paladin up in here that's like, Rob Brown, you got to. And I've done a couple of games. Like, I've called a couple of Furman-Wofford games in both arenas over on the over for the Furman folks when Dan Scott's been doing football games and stuff. I filled in on a couple of Furman games. I've been to Wofford a couple of times. They invited us. They were kind enough last year to invite us out for a game and a day. Beautiful gym. I mean, gorgeous gym for Wofford. And I've seen the rivalry up close and personally. But last night was the rivalry with a ticket to the dance on the line. With a ticket to March Madness on the line last night. The SoCon is a one-bid league. The winner of that conference goes to the dance. The silver medalists don't.
No chance of Furman gets
Zero.
in? Okay.
None. The SoCon does not get two bids. It would take two teams, like both of them having one loss and both of their one loss being to each other in the regular season, and then having another game last night in the conference tournament. And it would take a down year because, like, there's going to be probably, I think, 13 Southeastern Conference teams that make the tournament. I have heard the lowest estimation I've heard from the bracketologists is 11. The majority of them seem to say 12. I think there'll be 13 in. We'll find out after the SEC tournament this weekend. But it would take probably the specialist of special years for the SoCon to get two teams in. It's effectively every year the winner goes and the silver medalist, no matter who it is, goes home. And so Wofford gets in, Furman will not. And it was that game that separated. First off, credit to Wofford, because in the late second half of that game, with about 9 minutes left to play, Bob Ritchie, I thought, did something genius. Bob Ritchie was using the length that he has to run kind of a one. It was a 1-3-1, but to me it was really more like a 1-1-2-1. Like he had his winger set back a little bit. So he had a point man on D, he had a guy at the free throw line running extended left and right. Then his two wingers in the 1-3-1 were kind of dropped back, 2 feet to kind of guard the corners a little bit and basically say, you're not going to get corner threes off on us, right? Like if you're going to attack the basket, we're going to limit your angle of attack from the point to the free throw line extended in. We're going to create a triangle. You can attack that triangle, and we're going to be able to collapse guys on you, but you're not going to get corner threes. And whatever side the ball was on, big man down low on the bottom half of that 1-3-1 would shade that direction so that the winger could kind of stay out and that man could step up to fill the gap if there was a drive. Backside wing would come down to the block. Like it was fundamentally sound 1-3-1 basketball out of Furman. And there was a run there where Wofford couldn't figure it out. There was a run there where Wofford was just panicky, and they gave Furman a couple of turnovers. Furman was able to convert on the other end. All of a sudden, Furman finds himself up 4, 6, 8, and it's like, okay, the Dins are going dancing again. And then Wofford came back down, and the offense changed up a little bit. Instead of trying to attack that 1-3-1 and doing so from a traditional sense of find the hole, drive in, and knowing that Furman was collapsing on, I don't want to say unorthodox angles, but kind of a creative way of collapsing the 1-3-1 to the ball pressure, Wofford started attacking with numbers on one side, basically removed the backside defender from the equation. They're like, okay, we know it's going to get cramped over here. We know there's going to be extra dudes over here, but we're going to have another dude. We're going to have one more dude in this area because if that backside winger comes over to help, then it's a skip and a three. And we're knocking down threes tonight. Wofford was, 14 of 28. They were shooting 50% from the arc last night. So basically, it was, we're going to run the offense to one side of the floor. We're going to bring everybody to one side. If that winger decides he's going to come over and collapse, we're going to have that three. So we're going to have the big man playing on the block. We're going to have their winger set in the corner, and we're going to have three that are kind of all attacking from that triangle they're giving us. So effectively, it creates a 3-on-2 triangle on that side of the ball or on that side of the court, and it started working. And then Furman kind of got out of sorts a little bit, and that's where Wofford was able to kind of run away late in this game. We got to give a ton of credit to Furman for making it a game, but I think you got to give a ton more credit to what Dwight Perry and the Terriers were doing last night, because it took them a second to kind of figure out, to kind of feel out. And this is basketball. This is what coaches get paid for. When Furman dropped to that 1-3-1 or started that kind of modified 1-3-1 that they were running, it took Wofford 2-3 possessions up and down the floor to kind of figure out what they were doing differently that created that chaos, and Wofford responded. And they deserve a ton of credit for that. So, like I said, the lady and I are going on vacation. We have got a couple of friends that are coming to house sit for us while we're gone. And so we were cleaning up the house a little bit, just getting everything picked up so we can vacuum and dust and all that, because, you got to clean up if people are coming to the house. That's what adults do. So we were cleaning up the house, and I had the game on in the bro cave. And so I'm like back there, and I got the game on in the background as I'm kind of cleaning up and vacuuming the floor, and I look up at one point, and there's just a run happening. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to have myself a little din-din. I'm going to heat up a little dinner here, and I'll use this as a little 15-minute break. Sat down, ate the dinner, and then I was just locked in. I wasn't coming out the chair. At one point, the wife looks in, and she's like, hey, are you done? I was like, no, I'm done for right now. She's like, why? I was like, this game is absolutely electric. She's like, who's playing? Furman Wofford. She's like, oh, okay. She came in the room. She sat on the couch. She's like, all right, I'll eat a little snack while we're taking a break. I said, great. She sat on the couch. We sat there and watched almost the entire second half of that game, just like enthralled. That was spectacular basketball. I got a buddy of mine, Chris, who was on Twitter, and he He shot me a tweet last night where he's like, yo, YouTube TV on the multi-box has been elite with all the mid-majors going on. And I told him what I've said for a long time. The best basketball you will watch is mid-major basketball. It may not be the most talented basketball. You may not see a ton of NBA future stars out there, but mid-major basketball, if you are one of the folks that's listening to guys like Dan Hurley talking about how the game is changing and it ain't necessarily for the better, if you're one of those folks that's talking about how college basketball is being ruined by NIL and the portal and all that, get your ass over to these mid-major tournaments. Because that Furman-Wofford game was one of a handful that went on last night. Pepperdine St. Mary's was a great game last night. I watched a bunch of that. St. Mary's was able to run away kind of late in the game. Delaware Towson, 10-point win for Delaware, and it was kind of the same thing, like just an electric back and forth game. I had the Bro Cave with the big TV in the Bro Cave with 3 games on. I had 1 laptop. I went and got my work laptop out of my backpack to open it up to have another screen. I had all the mid-major basketball on last night, and it was spectacular. UNC Wilmington over College of Charleston, 68-67. They win the Coastal Athletic. They're going dancing. And I guess that's like, to me, it's true about the mid-major tournaments at large. But when you get to the last couple of days where it's championship games, and a lot of these little teams, like, this is their only shot to go play a game in March. You have to win this game. It does not, like, it sucks for some of them, but it does not matter. It doesn't matter what you do. You could go undefeated in the regular season. Your only shot to go play basketball in March against the big dogs in the dance is to win these games. And Furman-Wofford showed you exactly what that looked like last night. Showed you exactly how that felt last night. Wofford shot 50% from behind the arc, 54% from the field, 26 of 48. You had 20 from Jackson Civilis. You had 19 from Justin Bailey. Furman, here's the thing, Furman didn't have a bad night. 40% from 3, 13 to 33. They were 27 of 56 for just over 48% from the floor. That's good enough to win you a lot of games. But Wofford last night just came out with the eye of the tiger, man. Like, that was a phenomenal basketball game. Credit to Wofford. Credit to Bob Ritchie for rolling a Rubik's Cube of a defense out there. And credit to Wofford for figuring it out and getting that run. That was the most entertained I have been by college basketball so far this season. And I have been thoroughly entertained by college basketball this season. Alabama-Auburn this weekend was pretty dope, too. Alabama winning on the walk-off J. Oh, man. College basketball is just peak right now. Speaking of, talk a lot of college basketball because the Power 4 conference tournaments starting today. A lot of teams over the next few days are going to be playing for their postseason lives. So we'll get you set up for that. We got a flurry of NFL news. Sam Darnold has landed. Justin Fields has a new team. We're going to get to all of it on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Did you see Liv's tweet? Somebody tweeted Liv, and they were like, "We know you did it." And she's like, "You think for a second that if I did that, I wouldn't have been bent on the hood taking selfies, screaming about what I just pulled off?" All right, guys, give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back. We're going to talk some quarterbacks in the National Football League.
letting you know. This is a little weird.
Hi, Chris.
Freaked Lee out so bad that he ran into my car.
The Wofford Terriers will now wait to find out who it is they will get matched up with in round number 1 of the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship Tournament. Of course, part of that is going to be waiting to find out who the winners of the conference tournaments will be, who's going to be going on with some more AQs from the mid-majors, et cetera, et cetera. And we're going to keep you up to date with college basketball throughout the day today. The big-time tournaments getting underway. We got 3 games in the Atlantic Coast Conference coming up today. We will open the ACC tournament live from the Spectrum Center in Charlotte, North Carolina, with the Pittsburgh Panthers taking on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Cal and Virginia Tech at 4:30. Syracuse and Florida State will fight at 7 p.m. tonight. Over in the Southeastern Conference, who I've said a couple times, I'll say again, are having the single best year that any one conference has had in any one season, in any one sport. In basketball will start their tournament tomorrow. South Carolina will open the tournament at 1 p.m. at Arkansas. Texas and Vanderbilt will play at 3:30. 7 o'clock LSU and Mississippi State. OU at Georgia at 9:30. That tournament taking place at the Bridgestone Arena in Nash Vegas, Tennessee. So we'll keep you up to date with these tournament brackets as they evolve moving forward. Let's get to some national football. National Football League. Nerd, my voice cracked.
I know.
Fighting for my life over here.
I know.
Fighting for my life over here.
You sound like 12-year-old Rob, probably.
I love the National Football League. I turned into like a damn cartoon parody there for a second.
You're like that odds kid from the commercials. And almost everything that he said on those commercials didn't turn out to be true in real life.
Well, actually. All right, we got a couple of big-time stories that kind of kicked off the NFL free agent. Legal tampering is what we call it.
Oh, you're gonna start off with the Chiefs getting a tackle, right?
Yeah, obviously. That's what we're all tuned into.
That's the big news. Because I heard on the show before us that Josh Allen will win more Super Bowls than Patrick Mahomes in the next 5 years.
That's a hot take. I said yesterday, like for all of the heat they have taken, I think anybody writing off the Kansas City Chiefs' ability to rebound is let's say premature at best. Look, they got beat in the game. It just happened to be the one game they didn't want to get beat in the most. It happens. It's a Super Bowl. It ain't easy. Even Tom Brady lost a couple of them. So, Seattle Seahawks have found their replacement. They have agreed to a 3-year. He's still got that $100 million deal. 3-year, $100.5 million deal with former Minnesota Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold. $55 million of it guaranteed. I think that is where
It's a great story, man. It really is. How he started out, and he was supposedly washed, and there was no chance. And then he went a couple other places, still no chance, was a backup for a year, then went to Minnesota, had that kind of year, proved himself. And he may go to Seattle and absolutely stink it up, but
I mean, he's going to Seattle. He's got Jackson Smith and Jigba, but their two biggest receiving threats aren't Seahawks anymore. So this is why this move is interesting to me. There's a couple of different angles. First is the Sam Darnold story. Man goes to the New York Jets, dumpster of a franchise, right?
Saw ghost.
Legendary story. We still talk about it. Goes to the Jets. The Jets are just a bad franchise. I don't know if they fixed it or not. For Justin Fields' sake, I hope that they have. We're going to talk about him coming up in a couple of minutes. Goes to the Jets, doesn't work out. Leaves the Jets, ends up with the Panthers. Dumpster fire of a franchise, doesn't work out. And remember, I was saying when Sam Darnold was here, was in the Carolinas, I was like, guys, I'm not evaluating Sam Darnold's career at this point because I feel like we throw quarterbacks into the dumpster because they're in a dumpster. It is as much, if not more so, about the franchise than the quarterback. Carolina at the time was a dumpster fire of a franchise. So he moves on. He goes out to San Francisco, California, spends a year under Shanahan learning in the 49ers system. There for a season, gets a little bit of minimal PT, gets shipped up to Minnesota. Last year, 14-3 in the regular season. But the reason this story remains interesting is very simple. Because as much as 14-3 is an impressive regular season, with what happened to Kirk Cousins, and again, even the Kirk Cousins story is up in the air because Kirk Cousins played above average football for 8 weeks, and then he just kind of fell off a cliff. The Falcons don't say anything about it in the regular season. After the season is over, Kirk goes out and says, actually, in week 9 or whatever it was, week 10, I got hit. My shoulder and my elbow were messed up, and they never were 100%. But either he didn't tell anybody or the Falcons didn't know it or whatever happened. So then the question mark is, okay, did Kirk Cousins look great in Minnesota because the Vikings made him look great? Or did he look great in Minnesota because he's actually really good and that injury is genuinely what screwed him up? And the reality is, I don't think anybody can know that. We can speculate at best. My speculation is Sam Darnold and Kirk Cousins both benefited by playing inside of the Kevin O'Connell system with a incredible set of skill position players around them that were able to lift them up to be better than they are, which, fine. That's great. If you can go find a quarterback that you can pay the way the Vikings paid Kirk Cousins, which was a lot of money, but it wasn't like record-breaking contracts, or paid Sam Darnold, which was, again, a healthy chunk of change, but not anywhere close to record-breaking, and you can get two guys that can carry you to, NFC North titles or close to it, great. Good for you. That's part of having a great coach and a great GM in Minnesota that have been able to put that together for you. But we don't know. I don't think we know what Sam Darnold is. My speculation is, much like Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold's going to go to Seattle and he's going to be Sam Darnold again. He's going to be fine. He's not going to blow you away. He's not going to stink. He's just going to be whatever. He's going to be fine. The problem is, unlike Minnesota, Seattle doesn't have the Jeffersons and the Hawkinsons and all these great players out there. They got some good players, but again, they went from having Lockett and Metcalf as your XY to having Jackson Smith and Jigba, which is, again, a good, young, developing player, but I wouldn't be comfortable making the argument that he has proven yet that he is, Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf. They got Kenneth Walker III, who was banged up last year. They got Zach Charbonnet, who is, again, a guy that has showed up in some role spots, but how much of that was him being a great player and how much of that was having the benefit of having Metcalf and Lockett on the outside to open up spots on the field for him? I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get out of the Seahawks team. I don't know what we're going to get out of Sam Darnold. I don't think he's worth $100 million. I think the Seahawks have a lot of building left to do, and they just handed a quarterback a $100 million deal. Like that's a big chunk of a big chunk of your cap. I'm having an issue right now because the Saints have gone full Saints again, and in fairness, you kind of have to. They extended Derek Carr. You know what it would cost us to cut Derek Carr next year? $59.5 million against the cap. He is our quarterback for 2 more years unless somebody wants to pick him up in a trade.
He was a Hall of Famer. I'm confused.
Yeah, smartass Rob makes an appearance on the radio every now and then.
Okay.
Just so we're very clear, there's never been a point in time where I've thought Derek Carr is going to the Hall of Fame.
Wait, you weren't serious?
Yeah, I know. Shocking.
You're really good at this.
I know. We've won awards. I on one hand, do I think Derek Carr is the guy that's leading us to the promised land? No. On the other hand, doesn't really freaking matter. Doesn't really matter at all because we just don't have the talent to get there. So, I mean, I guess at the end of that, it shouldn't really matter. But Derek Carr's on a contract now that if we cut him in the next year, it's $59.5 million against the cap to not have him on the roster.
We re-signed Chase Young. That was a good move.
Yeah, this is a good move. I'm not unhappy about that. Problem is, we're just kicking the can on our cap rotation down the year. Like this would have been the year to just blow it up and and reload, rebuild, whatever. But put all that to the side. Let's stick with where we were. I'm kind of looking at this with Sam Darnold, and I'm like, you just gave Sam Darnold a deal that's in line with what the Saints are giving Derek Carr right now. You're locking up $60-ish million of your cap for Sam Darnold. If he ain't the guy, right, how are you going to rebuild with that contract on the line? I'll tell you who won yesterday. Who won yesterday was the Jets with a 2-year, $40 million deal to Justin Fields. 26-year-old, 2-year, $40 million contract, $30 million in guarantees. You got, 40% of the cap locked up in Justin Fields on a 26-year-old guy that I think the jury is still out on. I mean, I guess to some degree the jury is still out on Sam Darnold. I fully admit that a year from now, unless I get fired, I could be standing in the same spot talking into the same microphone and going, Sammy D, that's my bad, dog. Turns out you are him. A year from now, I may have to eat some crow medium rare and apologize to Sam Darnold. We'll see. But if he ain't the guy, $100 million is a lot of money to lock up in a cat. Justin Fields is a guy that I don't know if he's going to be the guy. What I do know is the Jets are still one more year away from being a legitimate contender to me. With the loss of everybody that's taken off, with the full franchise reboot, and if everything is true that after Aaron Glenn told Aaron Rodgers that he would no longer be the guy, the story was that like half the locker room was ticked off about it and half the locker room was happy about it. If that locker room is that divided and they got a first-year head coach and they got the issues they have with an owner and a GM and the Jets are a couple of years away. But with a guy like Justin Fields, that's great because now I've got a year to evaluate if I truly believe he's a franchise QB. And if the answer is yes, he is, great. I got him locked up for a second year, and the opportunity to give him that extension is right there. We can figure it out then. Right now, I can go retool. I got money in the bank to go retool this football team with. I like what the Jets did yesterday, bringing in a 26-year-old who hasn't been a starter in a couple of years, who sat the pine not all of last year, but a chunk of the second half of last year. I am glad to have Justin Fields on 2 years, 40 with 30 guaranteed, more than having Sam Darnold locked up for $100 million over 3 years with 55 guaranteed. I think the Jets had a better day yesterday, to be honest with you. I'm not saying that I think Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. I'm saying I think Justin Fields has a higher ceiling than Sam Darnold. I think Justin Fields, at least I'm hoping for Justin Fields' sake, that having some time last year, losing the job to Russell Wilson, being inside of I'll allow the word successful about Pittsburgh. As we pointed out, actually, I don't think I gave you the stat yesterday. You know, in the history of the NFL, there's only one coach that stayed active with a longer playoff win drought than Mike Tomlin. Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis is the only coach who stayed active in the league with a longer drought between playoff wins than Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff win since, what we decided yesterday, 2016?
Yeah, but see, that's one of those weird stats because Tomlin is one of the guys who's actually stayed with the same team for a really long time.
Yeah, how's that going for him?
But still, I'm just saying, it's of course it's going to look bad on him that he hasn't done it because he's been there for a really long time. When some coaches make it 3 years and then they're out or they move on to something else.
That's why that stat stands out, because what it says is the Steelers have elected to continue rolling with a head coach who has now got the longest spacing between playoff wins.
Yeah, but the Steelers have only had, 3 or 4 coaches in the history of their franchise.
Right. The point here is, do you want to, if you're the Steelers, do you want to stand on, our franchise doesn't fire head coaches. Doesn't matter if they go 16 years between winning playoff games. We don't fire our guys. Or do you want to actively be looking for a head coach who's going to come win a playoff game for you? Because I got to tell you, if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm watching everybody else get better, and it's been since 2016 that we won a playoff game, and we're not making a change.
Which would you? This guy, it parallels Dallas to a degree. Would you rather be a Dallas fan or a Steelers fan?
Neither. Right now, neither. That's the point. The point is, I don't want to be a fan whose chief silver lining is at least we're not Dallas, right? I'm not hanging a banner for we're not Dallas. I might make a poster that says at least we're not Dallas. That'd be funny.
Yeah, we'll see how long that poster lasts.
Poor Cole. The Steelers are going to start next season going up and hanging a banner that says, yeah, it's been since 2016, but at least we're not the Dallas Cowboys. Fix it. But the point here is, going back to where we were talking about these two quarterbacks, I like the Jets grabbing Justin Fields more than I like the Seahawks grabbing Sam Darnold. And you're going, wait a minute, Rob, Sam Darnold went 14-3. I understand what happened in the last 2 games. He got hammered by Detroit. They threw a little extra pressure, and he looked like Jet Sam Darnold again. They go into the playoffs, and they get run off the field in the very first game because he looked like Sam Darnold again. Once teams clued in and started attacking Sam Darnold, which frankly I just don't think they did in the regular season, then all of a sudden he just looked like Sam Darnold again. And the Seahawks just paid that guy $100 million to come in and quarterback a team that now does not have their best 2 wide receivers anymore. And they paid him so much to do it, I don't think that they are a threat to land any of the big-name free agent wide receivers that are going to be available. Who the hell is Sam Darnold throwing the ball to next year? Jackson Smith and Jigba, and that's it.
There is this thing coming up. I don't know if you've heard of it before. It's the NFL draft. They could pick some guys up there.
Sure, but again, the number of rookie wide receivers that come in, if you can even get one, the number of rookie wide receivers that come in and make an immediate impact are few and far between. Marvin Harrison Jr. was going to change the league last year, remember?
Come on, look at who his quarterback is.
Okay.
Knew his stats would be down
the
because
Seahawks
of that.
quarterback is Sam Darnold. Mm-hmm. That's fine. I'm happy to hear that argument because they got Sam Darnold. Right? The wide receivers.
Who's a better passer, Sam Darnold or the tall guy in Arizona?
I mean, last year, Sam Darnold, sure. But I also think I don't think you're giving the credit to Kyler Murray for how much better he looked at the end of last season. I do think he looked a lot better. Does it matter all that much? I don't know. We'll find out. Josh Sweat's now a Cardinal, by the way. They added to the defense a little bit. That'll help. The point here is the number of rookie wide receivers who come in and are able to elevate a quarterback to the next, not very high. Keon Coleman did it, but that's because Josh Allen was throwing the football. Xavier Worthy did it because, yes, he's extremely skilled, talented, and fast, but also having Patrick Mahomes getting to the ball doesn't hurt, right? Sports Flash.
I always wanted to do the Rush Limbaugh thing. Now I've done it. So The Wofford
I don't like
Terriers
it at
are
all, by
headed
the
to
way.
the dance after a furious late game rally led. I'm on vacation tomorrow, so led them past the Furman Paladins 92-85 in the Southern Conference Championship game. Wofford trailed by 4 with 2:34 remaining, but were led by Jackson Seville's and his 4 3-pointers to take the win. Justin Bale added 19 and Dylan Bailey scored 15 for the Terriers, who will go dancing for the 6th time in school history with the automatic berth. Duke freshman Cooper Flagg was named the ACC's Player of the Year heading into the ACC Championship Tournament. Voted on by league head coaches and media members, Louisville's Pat Kelsey was named Coach of the Year, and the Cardinals' Chucky Hepburn was awarded Defensive Player of the Year. They tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel ride shotgun on your drive home and get you up to date on all the latest local and national sports news. Like a bridge over Little Creek, I will lay me down. Got to jump and see if we got creepy van status. Creepy van's still there. Didn't check the license plate. Could be just someone on on a trip somewhere and found a parking lot and they're sleeping. Could be. If that individual is up to something nefarious and you just happen to be listening or watching the stream, keep in mind that we do have cameras in the parking lot. Just saying. They brought engineering in and made them aware of the situation, and they made fun of me, but that's okay.
Here we go, our numero dos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, and you. Welcome back. Great to have you. Happy Tuesday, people. Welcome in. The foremost electrifying hours of sports talk entertainment you have ever heard in your life. Underway right now. We're talking NFL free agency negotiation period opened up yesterday. Contracts can't be signed until tomorrow afternoon when the new league year starts. Teams will then have just a few days to get themselves completely teams will have to be under the cap at that point. So the contracts that are being handed out now will obviously go a long way in the mathematics that these teams will be required to do over the next few hours. We're going to keep following that as it continues to develop. We'll see if any contracts get handed out during the show today. I would not be shocked if they do. They can be signed later on this afternoon. We have got the NBA heating up. A couple of games from last night that are very interesting. I'd like to get into. No LeBron for the Lakers. They eat an L to the lowly Brooklyn Nets last night despite a triple-double from Luka Doncic. We're going to talk about the NBA. We'll get to some NHL as well because there was a couple of big stories out of the hockey league last night. All of that and more coming up. We'll let you know before we get into the water cooler cheat sheet here in just a minute. Little spring cleaning, if you will. The great one will be out tomorrow. I will be rolling the show solo. I will be out on Thursday and Friday. Because of that, all of our Thursday and Friday guests will be stacked up tomorrow. So we're going to have a busy show tomorrow. Tomorrow on the radio broadcast, we will have the lovely Lulu Kesson joining us at 8 a.m. We will have Mark Benetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, joining us at 8:20. Rashad Beard will talk Carolina Panthers. They had a big day yesterday. We'll see how that goes.
I don't get to debut that, so I'm sorry.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I can throw that soundbite your way.
I mean, it
won't be as fun without me here.
That is also correct. Rashad Beard will join us at 8:40. We'll talk to him. I'll give you my thoughts on the Carolina Panthers free agency moves yesterday, including throwing fat stacks at J.C. Horn. A little bit later on in this show, Lulu will join us today, Rashad will join us at 8:40 tomorrow to talk about that. Hayden Ask Mario will join us tomorrow at 9 o'clock to talk all of his thoughts on the NFL free agency period, as well as check in on the NBA playoff races and more. Then I and Lonzo will both be off on Thursday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. We will return to you with banners unfurled and trumpets sounding on Wednesday. Yes, indeed. And at that point, we will have Selection Sunday in our back pocket, and it will be just about time to tip off the 2024-25 NCAA men's and women's college basketball national championship tournaments. And yes, it will be a lot of hardball. A lot of hard court. Hardball is coming up because baseball's opening day is now just a couple of weeks away as well. We got to get to that. Speaking of, there's a baseball story in the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet today. You know what the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet is, right? It's the top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office in less than 56 minutes. Clock in, respond to those emails, and start talking sports with your coworkers. Yeah, it's the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, and we do that right now.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying, "Shut the hell up," even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet on the Fan Upstate.
See what he told him to shut up, and then he threw a raspberry their way. That's what that was. Stop with the final boss.
Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports this morning. We dive right in, ladies and gentlemen, with item number 1. Won't spend a ton of time on this, but it is a league-altering development. New York Yankees right-hander Garrett Cole will undergo Tommy John surgery. The team announced yesterday ends the 2025 season for the 2023 Cy Young Award winner before it even starts. As the Yankees prepare to defend their American League pennant, they will now do it without their ace. They are also missing Luis Gil, last year's Rookie of the Year. He will be out roughly 3 months with a lat strain, meaning the Yanks are now down 2 of their proposed opening day starters, and not just 2, but 2 of the best in the AL. The decision to have the surgery will sideline Cole this entire season and at least part of the 2026 season. You will remember that this is roughly the same timeline that Atlanta Braves ace Spencer Strider had last year when he had to have Tommy John surgery. Caused Spencer Strider to miss all of last year. It will cause him to miss the first couple of months of this year. The same will be true for Garrett Cole. He did seek a second opinion yesterday, and the two lined up that the surgery was the right decision. Cole started 2 games this spring, gave up 7 runs across 6 innings. His final game was last Thursday. Gave up 6 runs on 5 hits, including a pair of dingers over 2.5 innings to the Twins. He said he felt a, quote, alarming amount of pain, end quote, that Friday morning, prompting him to notify the team and undergo imaging tests, which revealed a torn UCL. The 34-year-old went through the same series of stressful events a year ago, elbow pain in mid-March, testing opinions from doctors. But last year, Cole was diagnosed with nerve irritation and edema. Edema? I'm going to go with edema.
I believe it's edema.
And instead of surgery, rested in rehab, made a season debut June 19th, pitched all the way through the World Series without a setback. He was hoping for the same, but posted on an Instagram post yesterday that the surgery was, quote, a necessary next step for my career, end quote. Said that he does believe he has, quote, a lot left to give, and I'm fully committed to the work ahead. I'll attack my rehab every day and support the 2025 Yankees each step of the way. I love this game. I love competing, and I can't wait to be back on the mound stronger than ever. Last year, 124 innings over 22 starts between the regular season and the playoffs, tossed at least 6 innings in 3 of his 5 postseason outings, then opted to alter his offseason throwing program by starting it earlier to continue his positive momentum from the 2024 season. He said he believed that he was in a really good spot compared to other years at the start of camp. That was a month ago. A month later, his season has been declared over. So the ace of the Yankee staff, Garrett Cole, shut down for the 2025 season.
Don't look up edema because it's swelling or puffiness caused by accumulation of fluid in the body tissue.
Now I have to.
Yeah, there's pictures.
I really wish you wouldn't have said don't.
But still, I mean, you want to know what it was, and it's.
I did, and I still do.
Causes.
Oh yeah, I've seen that before.
Poor circulation, heart failure, kidney disease, liver disease, pregnancy, certain medications, and injury. Which is probably where that came from.
Yeah, I'm going to say so. People, take care of yourselves, okay? Take care of yourselves. Eat better. Hit the gym every now and then. Even just go for a walk with the dog, whatever. Take care of yourselves. I'm begging you. I want the Armada to be happy and healthy, all right?
Hey, Rob, I'm not fat. I got it's edema.
I'm big bones.
It's edema.
That's also bad, Lonzo.
I got a lot of edema going on.
If Garrett Cole can't beat edema, you and I are bleeped.
Yeah, that's
all right?
a problem.
Item number 2. The Wofford Terriers are going dancing, ladies and gentlemen. A 19-15 season, 10-8 in the conference, come to its conclusion last night with a 92-85 win over the Furman Paladins in the Southern Conference Championship game of their tournament last night up in Asheville. 20 points for Jackson Civilis, 19 for Justin Bailey, 13 for Kyler Fowage. It was a great night for Wofford. 54.2% from the floor. They shot 14 of 28 from the arc last night. 50% from 3 when you're shooting 25 or more threes is going to win you some basketball games, people. It was, without a doubt, I think, the most entertaining college basketball game that I've seen so far this year. There have been some good ones. Last Saturday, Auburn, Alabama was one of the best college basketball games I've watched in a very long time. Came down to the wire. Mark Sears able to knock down a jumper with quite literally seconds left to play, just a second and a half left when he was able to get one to fall. Alabama gets an upset win over Auburn. Upset, they were in the top 10, but so was Auburn, just higher, over the Auburn Tigers. This game, as far as I am concerned, was better than that. Because the last, 11 minutes of this game were just back and forth haymakers getting thrown by these two teams. Furman went on a run. They find themselves up Wofford starts to struggle. Bob Ritchie puts that team into a 1-3-1, a little bit of a modified one. Wingers drop back. Hey, you're not going to get the corners against us. So if you want to get that dub, you're going to have to figure out a way to do it without knocking the threes down that you've been so adept at. So the Wofford Terriers said, yeah, no worries. We got you, dog. They modify the offense just a little bit. They start having more guys overloading one side of the floor, trying to pull that winger up out of that 1-3-1 and creating some holes. That works. All of a sudden, Wofford knocking down shots again. They go take the lead. Here come the Dens, get a couple of steals. They're right back into this thing. It's tied up. But when the clock got inside that last minute and a half, the Terriers just found the clutch gene and went off. Credit to these two teams. I'll put it this way. I was watching this game last night at the crib. Was watching in the Bro Cave. The lady friend and I mentioned we're going to be out Thursday through Tuesday. We're going out of town. We've got a couple of our buds who are going to come house sit for us. We had to clean the house up. They're coming over on Thursday morning when we're leaving. We had to clean the house up. We're adults. Can't have a dusty house. So we're cleaning the house. I'm in the Bro Cave, picking up laundry, folding stuff, making sure the place is spotless. About 11 minutes left in this game. I'm like, I think I got to dial in. I think I got to watch this. I sit on the couch. I make myself a little din-din. The lady friend pops the head in the door. She's like, hey, are you done cleaning? I was like, no, ma'am, but I am for at least a few minutes. She goes, why? I said, this basketball game is beyond gassed up. She's like, who's playing? Furman Wofford. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll have a snack while you wait. I said, great, sit down. She sits down. She's into this game. We are watching this game as if they're about to announce the Powerball numbers. I could not break away from it. I'm on Twitter, scrolling, watching people. I've got national radio host, national television host that are tweeting about this game in real time. That's how good it was. It was spectacular. Congrats to the Terriers, who for the 6th time in school history will be playing basketball games in the championship tournament. Let's go to item number 3. Big day in the National Football League yesterday as the free agency period, the negotiation period opened up. We started seeing names that were thrown around. The New Orleans Saints have re-signed edge rusher Chase Young to a 3-year, $51 million deal. I don't know how. I don't know why. We ain't got that kind of money, but we're spending it like we do. Tershawn Wharton is a defensive tackle signed to a 3-year, $54 million deal with $30 guaranteed by the Carolina Panthers. This is going to be an interesting one. Why? You're going to pair him up with Derek Brown on the inside. There's some circumstances here. This is a good defensive tackle. He has been playing alongside Chris Jones up in Kansas City. How did that work? Very simple. Chris Jones ate up double teams like a snack, and this guy was able to take advantage of that. It's a pricey contract, but if he's able to develop that same chemistry with DB that he was with Chris Jones and KC, maybe it'll be worth it. We're going to talk about that with Rashad Beard tomorrow at 8:40. The Indianapolis Colts have brought in Travarius Ward, a 3-year, $60 million deal. A guy whose numbers are pretty good. Only allowed 1 yard per coverage snap, had a lower than average target rate of just 13%, has been remarkably consistent. The Bears bringing Grady Jarrett up. The former Falcon recorded a 21% pass rush win rate at defensive tackle in 2019. That number has dropped every year, but he's still got some gas in the tank. We'll see how that signing works out. Malcolm Kuntz is now a Raider. They get him on a 1-year, $12 million deal. Guard Aaron Banks headed to Green Bay, 4 years, $77 million. The Eagles and the Browns had a trade for their backup quarterbacks, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and a 5th-round pick in this draft are headed out to to Philly in return for Kenny Pickett on his way out to Cleveland. Poor Kenny Pickett, although actually he may get a chance to play a lot in Cleveland. We'll find out. Former Eagle Josh Sweat is now a Cardinal, 4-year, $76.4 million deal with 41 guaranteed. Had 2.5 sacks in the Super Bowl. Honestly, Coulda, shoulda, woulda been Super Bowl MVP if it wasn't for that cat Jalen Hurts doing Jalen Hurts thing in that game. Josh Sweat on his way out to Arizona. The Commanders have picked up a new tackle for their guy Jaden Daniels. Laramie Tunsil and a 2025 fourth-round pick are on their way to Washington. In return, they send the Houston Texans a 2025 third, a 2025 seventh, a 2026 second, and a 2026 fourth. I think this is great. Jaden Daniels is the future of the league, but you've got to keep him protected. You have to up the offensive line, and Laramie Tunsil is a guy who can help you do that. Milton Williams, on his way to New England, a 4-year, $104 million deal. Probably a little bit too much money for him. We'll find out. Seattle has signed Sam Darnold, 3 years, $100.5 million with 55 of it guaranteed. Look, they landed him for less than the Buccaneers are paying Baker Mayfield. They are paying him less than the Saints are paying Derek Carr. Is it still too much? I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to talk more about that. The Jets pick up Justin Fields on a 2-year, $40 million deal with $30 million guaranteed. I actually like this signing a lot more. From 21 to 23, Fields ranked 31st, 15th, and 23rd in QBR, respectively. But as Lonzo has pointed out a bunch of times, started the season off with some dubs for the Steelers last year. Now that he's QB1 and there's nobody in his back pocket, will he be able to improve? We're going to talk more about Justin Fields later in the show. DJ Reed, cornerback, on his way to Detroit, 3-year, $48 million deal. I like that signing a lot. Offensive tackle Dan Moore headed to Tennessee. Chris Godwin did re-up with the Buccaneers. So maybe the most notorious Tampa Bay Buccaneer of all time will likely finish his career there. And here's the best part. They got him back cheap. 3-year, $66 million deal, $44 million of it guaranteed. He could have had much more of a Devontae Adams kind of contract. This is a bargain price for Tampa Bay. Well done for them. Some of the other big names that have moved. Javon Kinlaw is on his way to the Commanders, 3-year, $45 million deal. Drew Dahlman, center, on his way to Chicago. They give them an anchor in front of Caleb Williams. I like that pickup a lot. Kansas City gets Jalen Moore, the offensive tackle. That's I'm interested in that pickup. 2 years, $30 million deal. Needed an offensive lineman. Needed some help, especially with Joe Thuney on his way out. But at the same time, might have been an overpayment. I don't know. We're going to talk about that. We'll get Lonzo's thoughts in a little while. The Bucs are signing Hassan Reddick. This deal I like a lot too. 1 year, $14 million, 12 of it guaranteed. That's cheap for a defensive changer. Khalil Mack is on his way to the Chargers. And those are all the news that broke yesterday. After we went off the air, we will evaluate some of those moves as the show progresses. We got college basketball, NHL, NBA, and more to talk about coming up over the next 2 hours and 42 minutes. And we hit the accelerator when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Ooh, Manchester United leaving Old Trafford. Wow. That's interesting.
Foreign language are you speaking?
Old Trafford is a stadium that Man U's been playing in for a very long time. It would be like if today the Chiefs announced that they were leaving Arrowhead, but not for like a new Arrowhead, for like a brand new arena. But like just out of the blue announced it.
What they've been talking about?
Yeah, but just like today you got a thing that said Chiefs leaving Arrowhead, and that was just the news. All right, guys, give me 45 seconds. I got to hit the restroom. We'll be right back. All right, Greenvillians, I call upon thee in thy historical knowledge momentarily. I need your help for just a second. I'm making up a segment here, but I'm making up a segment here because I learned a thing, but I don't know if it's a real thing or not. And I need you guys to help me out.
You've been taken before.
Yeah, yes, I have. That's why I'm leaning upon a valuable resource of wisdom and knowledge, the Armada. During the break, I will go scroll social media just to see if anything's happening during the show. And normally it's not at 7:20 in the morning, but like sometimes it is. So I scroll the social media, and of course, I am targeted for advertisements like we all are 24/7, 365 days per year. We're targeted for advertising because it works. Let's be clear. So I came across a website that sells old school sports merchandise, which is right up my alley. Okay? I love it so much. And I came across merch for the Greenville, South Carolina Mountaineers Baseball Club, which is labeled as established 1907 in the South Carolina League Class D professional baseball. Now, I have, over the years that I have lived here, we just a week and a half ago crossed the 5-year anniversary of the Rob Brown Show here on the Fan Upstate and the 5-year anniversary of my being a resident here in the Upstate. And I have taken pride in the baseball history of Greenville and the surrounding upstate of South Carolina. I've obviously learned about the Spinners, Shoeless Joe Jackson, playing the hits. Learned about the Negro League team that we had here. Learned about the Mill League where Shoeless Joe started. I have taken great pleasure and pride in learning about what I didn't know about, a very deep baseball history here in the upstate of South Carolina. And in all the time I have learned about this, and I will acknowledge that it has not included like going deep dive, but I've learned. I have not heard of the Greenville Mountaineers. So I went and looked it up during the break after I found this merch for the Greenville Mountaineers, which I got to tell you, I'm very close to dropping $34.95 on a very cool t-shirt. But I now heard about the Greenville Mountaineers. Can any of you out there confirm to me the history of, the authenticity of the Greenville Mountaineers? Here's what I found when I was looking it up. First off, I found a Wikipedia page that listed Greenville Mountaineers players. And there's a couple of them, Billy Laval and Tom Stouch.
Dude, I just looked at that too. That's that's a small page. That's all that's on the page.
Yeah. William Lawrence Laval, an American minor league baseball player, baseball manager, and college baseball, football, and basketball coach, who was the head coach at the University of South Carolina, Furman University, Emory and Henry, and Newberry. He is the only South Carolina football coach to have produced 7 consecutive winning seasons. In 2009, the state called him the greatest collegiate coach in the history of South Carolina. I knew of Billy. I was unaware that he was a player for the Greenville Mountaineers. Tom Stouch, an American Major League Baseball second baseman who played 4 games with the Louisville Colonels of the National League in 1898. He is best known for discovering Shoeless Joe Jackson, who played against him while Jackson was on a Mill team in Greer, South Carolina in 1907. So again, learning more about upstate baseball history. Well, I just looked up the Greenville Mountaineers, but it redirects to the Greenville Spinners. Obviously knew about the Spinners. The Greenville Drive play a theme night or 9 every year where they break out the old black pinstripe Spinner jersey. It's one of my favorite baseball looks overall. Like, I'm including the Big Show in that. The all black Spinners logo is phenomenal. The Spinners obviously were the minor league team that played here between 07 and 62, but I don't see anything specifically about the Mountaineers. And so I'm curious as to, was that like an alternate name? Was that a spinoff name? Was that something that some people didn't like the name Spinners, so they called them the Mountaineers? I don't know the answer to that. So I'm curious as to if any of y'all know the history of the Greenville Mountaineers. Was it the same thing as the Spinners? Was it like a different team than the Spinners? What's the deal? I need to know, because old Robbie Brown's about to drop $35 on this dope shirt. I got it on the stream right now. I'm putting it up right. Well, I'm holding my phone up to the camera. But look at that shirt. That's a great baseball shirt, man. Like, that's a great baseball shirt, but this is the first I've heard of the name Greenville Mountaineers, and I kind of want to know more about it. The problem with this is that now my afternoon is shot. Now my afternoon is shot.
Got a few older people down the hall, one of which might know, because that person has been around for a long time in this area.
That's true. And the Spinners played into what? Into the late 60s? They were a team into the late 60s or early 70s, something like that. Like, they were around for a long time. But did they start as the Mountaineers and then change to the Spinners? I need to know. I have to know. They were members of the South Carolina League, a minor league baseball league that played from 06 to 08 in Class D. So if this is where it would have been, this would have been it. The South Carolina League formed for the first time in 1906 as a 16 Class D level minor league team. The 1906 Charter League members were Camden, the Darlington Fiddlers, Georgetown, Manning, the Orangeburg Cotton Pickers, and the Sumter Gamecocks. The final 1906 South Carolina League records and standings are unknown. In 1907, the South Carolina League continued as a 6-team league under league president Mendel Smith, beginning play on May 20th. The league added the Anderson Electricians, the Greenville Mountaineers, and the Spartanburg Spartans as new franchises. In 1907, Darlington moved to Florence, and the Anderson and Greenville franchises both folded. Okay, so the Greenville Mountaineers played in the Class D level South Carolina League for one season before folding, and then they started up again a couple of years later, or I guess a different franchise started up a couple of years later as the Greenville Spinners.
Does that place have a Fiddlers shirt? Because that kind of stood out to me, the Fiddlers.
I'm buying that immediately if so, right?
I mean,
I'm about to go. This website's about to take a paycheck off of me.
Anderson Electricians, I mean, I don't know what you're going to put on a shirt that shows you're an electrician.
Like a cool bit. Okay, I got it. Like a baseball dude, but instead of a bat, he's holding a lightning bolt.
That would be kind of cool.
That's dope, right?
But I don't know if that denotes or whatever being an electrician.
I got nothing. I like it.
But the Fiddlers, man.
Okay,
I mean,
so the Greenville Mountaineers played 1 year in 1907 in the South Carolina League.
So you want to buy a shirt of a team that only played 1 year in 1907?
It's a great shirt.
Okay.
It's a great shirt.
All right.
It's a great shirt. Like, real good shirt. Now, I'm also
Are
going to...
Are you also an antiquer? Do you enjoy the flea markets and jockey lots?
I do, Zoe. I do, but I'm looking for like the real cool stuff, right? Like I'm not like, oh, what a lovely antique bedside table. I don't care about your damn bedside table. I'm going in there looking for like the 1974 NASCAR diecast. I'm looking for the sign that hung on the fence at the first Daytona 500. I'm looking for the stuff that like you would see it and go, I'm clearing a wall in the brocade for that. This is out of left field. Or just like really weird stuff. I'm about to, you know what? I'm married. Who the hell cares? My whole sword collection has come from antique shops. My whole sword collection, all from antique shops. And yes, it's a collection. I'm married. Judge me. I don't care. She already knew what she was getting into.
All right. Think about the crowd you're addressing right now. None of us care. I mean, there's no judgment here. We just want to know, are the swords sharp?
Do I get it in like the classic like baseball shirt, like the 3/4 sleeve?
I like that one.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. And do I get it with the white sleeves, though, or do I get it gray with the black sleeves? See, I don't know what I also got to go spend some time to figure out what the color scheme of the Greenville Mountaineers was. I wanted team colors. I got to represent the 1907 South Carolina D-League professional team. This is important to me that we are historically accurate. When we come back, let's talk about some of these NFL news, the NFL notes, NFL headlines, NFL contracts that got agreed to yesterday, including a slew of quarterback moves, who's benefiting, who hurt themselves, all that and more coming up next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. I would say so, Steven, but as a non-Pokemon guy, I know those are stupid expensive. Oh, man. That's awesome. I also want a Sumter Gamecock shirt. I'm going to be spending my entire day just looking up antique baseball logos. Y'all stay right there. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, I'm not I got to tell you, I was never, like, I think all of us were baseball card kids as kids, but, like, I grew out of my baseball card. I've got friends of mine who are still big into baseball card collecting.
Not all of us, but,
like,
okay.
Like, have a whole economy dedicated to it. Now I'm just gone down a rabbit hole of old sports collectibles, old sports jerseys. One of them, and I knew about the Greenville Groove. I have been looking since I moved here for a Greenville Groove jersey, one of the green ones, and I cannot find them. I cannot find a Greenville Groove jersey anywhere. I'll tell you right now, somebody finds me a Greenville Groove jersey, I'll buy it from you. I want a Groove jersey, preferably one I can fit my fat behind into, but I want a Greenville Groove jersey. You want
a good looking one, right?
Yeah, not like
that's,
yeah. I mean, I would take vintage worn what is it called? Distressed
Is
before
that-
none.
Well, I mean, what degree of pit stains are you willing to pay for? I'm just curious.
Preferably not one that was played in, but, sometimes beggars can't be choosers. I really want a Greenville Groove jersey. I'm big on jerseys that say Greenville across the front. I like it. All right, let's get some NFL news and notes in here. We talked a little bit earlier in the show about the quarterbacks that got moved or signed yesterday. Sam Darnold is now a member of the Seattle Seahawks. Again, I'm okay with it because to me it is a gamble. It is a gamble. You got him cheaper than the Bucs have Baker Mayfield. You got him cheaper than the Saints have Derek Carr. When I said I wouldn't give Sam Darnold a $100 million contract, I was working on the assumption that someone was going to give him a 2-year deal. Effectively, you had a great year, we're going to reward you, but we're not going to make it a super long term. You're going to have to play to get an extension on a 2-year, $100 million contract. Seattle gets him for 3 years and $100 million, 55 of it overall guarantee, which again, less than Baker Mayfield, less than Derek Carr in terms of per year averages. So, like I said, we talked about it in hour number 1. We don't have to spend a ton of time on it. Seattle is basically banking that the 14-3 regular season record of Sam Darnold last year as the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings was Sam Darnold being good, not the Vikings being good and carrying Sam Darnold. We're going to find out about that. I'm a bigger fan of Justin Fields getting signed to the New York Jets. I have been, I think it's fair to say, optimistic for Justin Fields because, again, I firmly believe that people do not understand the impact that playing for a booty cheeks franchise can have on a young quarterback. And on top of the impact it has on a young quarterback in their rookie year, it is also the long-lasting impact it can have on you. Sam Darnold is an example. Baker Mayfield is an example. These are two guys that spent a couple of years as QB1 for a craptastic franchise. Both of them came to their second franchise, also craptastic, and then went on to their third franchise, well, Sam Darnold's fourth, Baker's third, and earned big-time money. Baker Mayfield's won back-to-back divisional titles. Now, it is fair to point out that he has won back-to-back divisional titles in a, say it with me, bad division, but back-to-back divisional titles nonetheless. Sam Darnold went to San Francisco, got to spend a year learning under a guy that I think could be labeled the quarterback coach in Kyle Shanahan, goes up to Minnesota, bango, 14-win regular season. Yeah, got smoked in the opening round of the playoffs, but got him there, right? Got him there. And I think there's something to be said for that. I wonder, sincerely, how many quarterbacks that were highly touted coming out. Texter just sent a text to the text line at 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. Shoot us a text or a phone call. Let us know your thoughts on any of the moves I got yesterday. We're going to do Panther-specific free agency talk coming up in the second segment of the next hour. Got your audio blitz at 8 o'clock. We'll talk Panther pickups after that. But I kind of wanted to hang here for a minute. I wonder, Texas said, speaking of which, has anyone heard from Josh Rosen lately? Listen, there are going to be quarterbacks who just don't have it. But I also wonder how many quarterbacks that we have labeled bust, that we have labeled failures, played for an awful franchise that was just bad and then didn't get a second chance. How many quarterbacks washed out of the league and never got a second chance like Sam Darnold did? Sam Darnold got a third and then a fourth chance. Baker Mayfield got a third chance. How many quarterbacks? And this is why, despite the fact that I have been a skeptic and despite the fact that I do have doubts about Justin Fields, I've told you my biggest issue with Justin Fields. I think his decision-making time is too slow. I think he has a hard time making a decision about where to put the football. And in the NFL, the window to not just make a decision, but to execute the throw is microscopic. You have to know it, get it right, and hit the spot. And if you can't do that, you're watching a lot of footballs go back the other way. You're watching a lot hit the dirt. And that is my conversation about Justin Fields. I think athletically, he's got every tool in the tool set to be a good NFL quarterback. Great? Question mark. But you got to prove you're good before you can prove you're great. I think he's got every tool in the toolkit to be a good NFL quarterback. And I think you've seen that out of Justin Fields. You have seen him make some stellar throws, both in Chicago and in Pittsburgh last year. You have seen him put the ball in the right spot. But it's primarily been when he's had guys that were open that he's able to drop the dot. I need to see him be able to do it into tight coverages. I need to be able to see him do it between a cornerback and a linebacker and get that ball in a touch zone in between the second and third levels of a defense. And I don't think that we have seen that yet. This is his chance because the New York Jets are opportunity number 3 for Justin Fields. Now, you can make the argument, and I don't suspect Lonzo will. I know Lonzo has. You can make the argument that Justin Fields was doing what he needed to do at Pittsburgh, and they took that shot away from him. Now, we knew it was coming because whether you like it or not, agree with it or not every, but most NFL franchises subscribe to the theory that QB1 cannot lose his job to injury. QB1 loses his job because QB1 plays poorly, QB2 plays well enough to take the spot. Does happen, but rarely. Justin Fields was, what was the record, Lonzo, like 4-2?
Yeah, 4-2.
4-2. When Russell Wilson came back from from the injury that he sustained in the preseason and took the QB1 job back from Justin Fields. Justin Fields went to the bench, never got that QB1 spot back. Was that because they had too much money in Russell Wilson? Maybe. Was it because they just believed more in Russell Wilson? Maybe. Was it because when Russell Wilson came back, Russell Wilson was also winning games? Maybe.
Well, it also, according to sources, caused a divided locker room.
Sure.
Because you were winning and you put another guy in after you were winning.
I think I also think had they not made the switch, they'd have had a divided locker room because half the locker room would have said, you got a proven quarterback who's won a Super Bowl. Put that ball in his hands, right? Like that was the concern I had when the Steelers signed both of these guys in the first place was you're dividing your locker room no matter what happens. Even if one of them clearly wins the QB1 battle in camp, there's going to be others who go, that's not the guy, especially when you have a guy as polarizing as Russell Wilson is. Russell Wilson is as polarizing as Aaron Rodgers, but for a completely different set of reasons, right? Like, completely different set of reasons, but the same is still true. That was an inevitability, I think. So, Justin Fields got his second opportunity in Pittsburgh. Whether it's his fault, Tomlin's fault, the organization's fault, the offense's fault, irrelevant. Spot number 2 didn't work out. So he goes to spot number 3, the New York Jets. Now, what do the New York Jets have right now? They got a good young core. They got some young guys on the offensive side of the ball that can help him out. They've got Breece Hall at the running back, Garrett Allen. They've got Alan Lazard, so a proven vet over there. I don't know how much time he's got left, but a proven vet over there. They've got some young guys, and I do suspect the Jets are probably going to draft another wide receiver or find another wide receiver in free agency to bump Xavier Gipson out of the starting role and move somebody else into that third spot, into that Z spot. But they got some talent. They got a decent offensive line there in front of him. This is Justin Fields' opportunity to prove that he can be that guy. He can be a QB1. And to be honest with you, I am pulling for him. And I am pulling for him because he went to Chicago, which I said when he was there as a garbage can. I said going into last year, Matt Eberflus ain't the guy. They should have moved him before the offseason. They did not.
So the Jets are a better situation than what Chicago was.
Yes. God, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how when Justin Fields was there. Not today. But when Justin Fields was there, the Jets today with Justin Fields on day one of QB1 era versus the Bears when Justin Fields were there, yes, better landing spot for Justin Fields than where he was. I don't know what Aaron Glenn's going to be as a head coach. I don't know what he's going to be as a head coach. Here's what I do know. I do know he comes from, obviously, the Detroit coaching tree. He comes out from Dan Campbell. If he's got that same attitude, he's still got that same Dan Campbellness to him, I'm going to like that. I know they went and got themselves a young offensive coordinator in Tanner Engstrand, who was part of Ben Johnson's staff in Detroit. So he knows the offense because he's bringing a guy who was in the Ben Johnson staff to come be the OC. They've got young talent. They've got guys. I think he's in a better spot now than he ever was in Chicago. And he's got a year where he's washed the Chicago-ness off of him. And he's got a year to have sat with again. Maybe he's not, maybe he's not the look outside. I'm trying to tell you, look out the window. Maybe he is not maybe he's not going to be the big time star that Caleb Williams, I think, is going to be. Caleb Williams came into Chicago. He was thrown into the same situation with Matt Eberflus. He showed enough flash that the Bears went, okay, we trust Caleb Williams with the future more than we trust Matt Eberflus, which they, again, should have done before he ever got there. But what I do know about this situation is this. They got a new head coach who is, from what I've seen out of him so far, very much a no-nonsense guy who's trying to compete. They've got a new offensive coordinator who brings over what he learned under Ben Johnson, who was doing a great job in Detroit as the offensive coordinator. That's why he's the coach of the Chicago Bears now. They bring over a lot of young core talent, and the Jets aren't in a terrible, off the top of my head, aren't in a terrible salary cap position. They can make another move or two. I am optimistic for Justin Fields. So where does that leave everybody else? I've said this a couple of times, and I'll say this one more. Aaron Rodgers might be the best quarterback left out there. Aaron Rodgers might be the best quarterback left out there. I don't know who's going to need a guy. I don't know who's going to be searching for a guy. The Raiders get Geno. The Seahawks are set with Darnold. The Jets now have their guy. It's basically the Giants. So if Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing football next year, it looks like he won't even have to switch apartments. He's still going to be playing his ball in New Jersey. I don't know if that's the fit or not. Honestly, I genuinely don't. But that's it. And he's the best guy left out there. So if the G-men feel like they need to move up and on, that's going to be the play. So it looks like the quarterback carousel has largely come to its stop in the NFL. Everybody's got their guy. Now today, we continue the free agent negotiations. We will find out what other big names are going to move. There's a couple of other guys that have moved. Carolina made some moves yesterday. We're going to talk about that coming up here in just just a couple of minutes. I got your audio blitz that is going to lead off the next hour. The best audio that we have found since the last time we did the audio blitz 24 hours ago. Then we will talk about the Panthers free agency moves that they moved yesterday, including that extension to J.C. Horn I told you was coming. Now, did I know that J.C. Horn was going to ultimately end up being the highest paid defensive back in the National Football League? No. But that is a result of the cap going up. Is it the right move for Carolina? We're going to talk about that coming up here in just a little while. After that, we got some baseball talk. Garrett Cole shut down for a year plus. He's going to have Tommy John surgery. The American League is now wide open, or is it? We'll talk about what this Garrett Cole news means for the rest of the AL. We'll get some Braves talk in here as well because we are continuing to monitor the guys that are going to be coming off the injured list. When might they be available, and what does that mean when the Phillies are getting better? We got that coming up for you. I got some NHL talk. We got some college basketball. The ACC tournament gets underway in Charlotte, North Carolina later on this afternoon with a flurry of games. The Southeastern Conference gets its tournament started tomorrow. So it is going to be a busy back half of the show. If you want in, 844-326-3663. 844-326-3663 is the number to get on the air. It is also the number to text the show. Texter said Josh Rosen was a damn good quarterback that the Cardinals ruined. I agree, Joey. The text from Joey. Appreciate it, big dog. I agree. That's kind of what I'm talking about. When Josh Rosen got to Arizona, that franchise was a dumpster fire. Josh Rosen never had a chance. But Josh Rosen's a guy who didn't really get a second opportunity. How many quarterbacks do we put into that category? I may do a deep dive on that tonight. That might be my game plan tonight. We'll see. I also am about to spend a irresponsible amount of time learning about the single season of baseball that the Greenville Mountaineers played in 1907. I want to know everything.
I'm sure it was an amazing season.
Hey, man. The arguably greatest coach in the history of South Carolina Gamecock football was on that team. Something to be said for that. All right. We got to run to a break. Audio Blitz when we come back. Carolina free agency after that. Rest of the show belongs to you. You know what belongs to the next 60 seconds? Your attention as Alonzo reads his sports flash.
The Wofford Terriers are headed to the dance after a furious late-game rally led them past the Furman Paladins 92-85 in the Southern Conference Championship game. Wofford trailed by 4 with 2:34 remaining, but were led by Jackson Sevilles and his 4 3-pointers to take the win. Justin Bale added 19, and Dylan Bailey scored 15 for the Terriers, who will go dancing for the 6th time in school history with the automatic berth. Don Staley's Gamecocks basketball team will enter the national championship tournament ranked 2nd in the AP poll, just behind UCLA. Gamecocks earned 9 first-place votes, 7 less than the Bruins, and 2 more than the UConn Huskies. The team now waits to find out which of the 4 number 1 seeds they'll be awarded. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel ride shotgun on your drive home and get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, all Wire to Wire.
Hour number 3 underway. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
I just have to say, those new cop cars look sweet, don't they?
They do.
I mean, they're as they pull away, they look pretty sweet.
They do look good. They do look good.
Shout out to Greenville's finest.
Yeah, appreciate y'all showing up and making sure. You know, Lonzo's got a lot of stalkers out there. A lot of people trying to spend a
you
couple
ain't
minutes
made
with
it
the great one.
in the business until you get some stalkers. That's how that works. Now, anybody in the Armada, we don't suggest that you stalk as just as a joke.
It's got to be a natural stalker.
Yeah, because it is against the law. I'm just saying,
Kane texted the show and said, Justin Fields will do well for the Jets. You won't have to apologize to Darnold, unfortunately. Derek Carr needs better weapons around him, but the Saints front office sucks. Whoever gets Sanders will waste him. The year is looking better and better for the Lions. ... Screw the Bears. I appreciate you throwing a screw the Bears and not my team for the first time at the end of that, Kane. But we'll see. I hope Justin Fields does well for the Jets. I really do. I think he's got, again, this is the year that we're going to find out. Has Justin Fields struggled because he just can't process the game fast enough, which is a thing, or is Justin Fields going to break out and show a couple of franchises they got it wrong?
You don't want him to do well just because it makes Aaron Rodgers look bad.
Do you forget 3 seconds ago when I said I want him to do well?
No,
or do you just not care?
Do you want him to do well because it makes Aaron Rodgers look bad? That's
No,
all I said.
I want him to
that's
do well.
That's still you wanting him to do well.
I want him to do well because I believe Justin Fields got brought into and had heaped upon his shoulders the pressure of fixing an unfixable situation in Chicago. I want him to do well because I feel like when he got to Pittsburgh did him wrong by having him and Russell Wilson and all the drama that surrounded the two of them competing in a spot that, or making it feel like they were competing for a spot that I sat in, I was sitting at the time, but I said into this very microphone, this isn't a competition. It's Russell Wilson's job. You can go ahead and book that. And I got proven right about that. I want him to do well so that he can prove that he can do well. That's it. That's all. I think a lot of people think that my personal opinions about people impact the way I see them as football players. They don't. No, I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan off the football field. On the football field, hey, man, if the guy can play, he's going to have a job, and if he can, he can't. I just don't think he can play anymore. I didn't sound this way about Aaron Rodgers 3 years ago when he went to New York. I was on the boat of people that's like, the Jets are back, because I thought he was going to be a stud. He wasn't. The first year wasn't his fault. Achilles popped. It happens. Second year, he was okay. He was okay.
Recovering from Achilles pop, which is very difficult.
I don't disagree. But still, he was okay, regardless of the scenario. So we'll see how that plays out. I will talk about Shedeur Sanders. We got your segment on the Carolina Panthers coming up here in the next segment, but it is 8 o'clock in the a.m. time for your audio blitz. Some of the best audio that we have heard since the last time we did the audio blitz. Let's dive right in. I'm always going to start with Joe Mazzulla if there's a Joe Mazzulla clip. The Boston Celtics lined it up against the Utah Jazz. Joe Mazzulla's brother, younger brother, is on the coaching staff of the Jazz. Joe Mazzulla, in a post-game press conference, was asked about lining up across from his brother and answered the question in the way that only Joe Mazzulla can. That was it. That was it. Hey, Joe, how's it feel to see your brother developing as a coaching prospect, getting it going with the Utah Jazz? He works for the other team. That was it. That was his comment, which is, let's be clear.
So what's wrong with that? I mean,
I think the expected answer for most people would be,
I'm proud of my brother.
super proud of my little
Yeah.
brother. I'm excited to see him have his opportunity. He's worked hard to get there. I love seeing him out there kind of establishing himself as a young coach in the league. I hope one day he gets the same opportunities I get. I know the work he's put into getting to where he is now, and I'm glad to see those efforts come to fruition, yada, yada, yada.
Hey,
he hit him with, hey, what do you want? He works for the other team.
Do we know if they get along?
I have no idea. I don't
mean,
personally care. It's hilarious either way.
Okay. All right.
Hilarious either way. Let's see here. Tiki Barber works for WFAN New York, our brother station in the Odyssey family. Tiki, obviously, noted New York Giants fan since he played a lot of football there. So they talk a lot of Giants on WFAN, their local show. He was hosting with a friend of the show on and off the air, Sean Marash, on WFAN, when they received a call from a Giants caller, and Tiki wasn't having it. Tiki was not having
Have
it.
you pulled the suck thing yet?
Not
'Cause,
yet, but it's 100%
course.
happening.
Of course.
You already know it's happening. Yeah, listen, I this is one of those spots where what logically makes sense and what people are going to do are just different. Tiki's 100% correct. Players and coaches aren't throwing games. Never have, never will. If for no other reason, then the stain of that is on them. Would it help the general manager? Yes. Would it help the franchise? Yes. Would it help the owner? Yes. Would it help the team in the long term? I mean, if you get the draft right, yes. Right? If the Giants cost themselves the number one pick and somebody takes, let's say hypothetically, I don't think it's going to happen, but hypothetically Shedeur Sanders, and he goes out and he turns into, I don't know, Jaden Daniels, right? Then yes, franchise-changing draft. Jaden Daniels is a franchise-changing draft pick for the Washington Commanders. 1 year in, I'm comfortable saying that is a guy that is going to be good and have them at the forefront of the NFC for years moving forward. At the same time, nobody on that franchise last year was throwing games to get him or anybody else. No, it just wasn't happening. So with all of that being said, I get where Tiki's coming from here. It on one hand, like I've said, there's been a lot of spots where I've said it makes sense for this team to stink now. It makes sense for this team to tank now. The draft is, as we have established via the Philadelphia Eagles, the draft is immensely importante to the future of an NFL franchise. Immensely importante to the future of a franchise. However, losses stick on coaches and players. No coaches and players are going to try to tank. This is why the whole thing with the Miami Dolphins and Brian Flores a couple of years ago. Remember that? The story was that Brian Flores was told, go out there, stink it up, try to tank. We want to make ourselves into a better football team via the draft and blah, blah, blah. And Brian Flores refused to do it. And that's why he got fired. Again, that whole lawsuit kind of ended in settlement out of court and just went away. But I don't think any coach or player is ever going to try to tank. So I get where Tiki is coming from there. All right. This one I just found amusing. There is a Steelers podcast called The Steel Twins. It is just a couple of Steelers, twin brothers, that have started a podcast about the Steelers. It's very much similar to the Panther Nation podcast. They picked up a bunch of listeners. They were live on their stream doing a pod when they found out that Davante Adams had been picked up by Pittsburgh. I love that clip. You know why? Because nothing makes me happier than just pure fan elation. It's the best. Dude dropped an OMFG on it. He was so pumped up. That trade got made while these guys were doing their pod, and they loved that. Went on for like 6 more minutes. Just them screaming into the mic about it. There's nothing really content-wise to it other than I just love pure fan elation, and that's exactly what you got there. Keon Coleman is a wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. We've talked quite about him. He was wide receiver 1 for the Buffalo Bills for a good chunk of the season until Amari Cooper showed up. He and Josh Allen got on the same page. I'm very excited to see what they do in year number 2. Well, Keon Coleman has been making the rounds, doing pods and TV shows and interviews and all that as he gets set to enter his sophomore season. And he told what I think is a fantastic NFL Combine story. My man said, I did an interview with a team, and they had some fruit snacks. And I wanted some fruit snacks. And apparently, the team he was doing the interview with got unhappy with him that he wanted to take a second and grab some fruit snacks. Now, I'm going to say a couple of things here. First and foremost, I'm a 40-year-old man. I love some fruit snacks.
Fruit snacks are delicious.
I love a fruit snack. We got fruit snacks in the house right now. I love a fruit snack. I will buy a fruit snack every time I go up into the store. Doesn't matter which store. They got fruit snacks. I'm buying fruit snacks. I love a fruit snack. It's good. It's quick. Not a ton of sugar. Nice little snack. Nice little sweet. I love a fruit snack. My man said one of the NFL teams got upset after I had spent time breaking down D formations with 40 teams. There's only 32 teams in the league, which makes that especially impressive.
Thank you, because I was going to point that out, the fact that there's not 40 teams.
My man said there's 32 teams, 31 other teams, because he was doing an interview with a team. I just went over the D formations of 40 out of the 32 teams in the league with you, and now you're upset. You know what I want? I want nothing more in the world, great one, nothing more in the world than for it to come out down the line that a team had Keon Coleman, who had a rookie year, had Keon Coleman on the draft board, and then dropped him down because my man wanted some fruit snacks.
See, I do have a problem with him complaining about being hungry. He should. It shows lack of preparedness. He should have come to it and have already eaten. I mean, it could have been a long day for sure.
It is a long day. Those guys get to the combine at like 7 in the morning.
Have you heard of anybody else in the history of the NFL complain about being hungry?
I mean, I can't say that I have, but
okay.
also, how many people go out and tell these stories this candidly like this?
Well, listen, I'm enjoying the story, but as a GM or a member of management of some team, you're going, okay, first of all, this kid is needy. He wants something. He's also entitled, thinking that those fruit snacks need to be his fruit snacks when they're not his fruit snacks. If we offered him fruit snacks, then they would be his fruit snacks, but they're not. They're ours, and he thinks that he needs to have them. There's just a lot of red flags there.
I mean, that's fine. You just skipped on Keon Coleman, who helped Josh Allen lead the Bills to a 14-win season.
I mean, good for him.
Over some fruit snacks.
He'll never win a Super Bowl, but at least, at least he gets to win some games.
Find out. Doors open. Doors open. Point here is, I am really excited to see progressive more and more reasons about why teams are passing on big name players. I want more than anything else in the show that we will talk about today than to get the story in 2 or 3 years that Team X that needed a receiver, could have had Keon Coleman, who had a stellar rookie year, and passed on him because my man just simply said, can I get some? I've been here all damn day. Can I get some fruit snacks?
You believe in your heart it was the Saints, don't you? That's why it's by you know it was the Saints.
I'm terrified it was the Saints. I genuinely am. I hope not, because there's no reason for us to have drafted a wide receiver last year. We weren't great there, but we were fine. We needed defense last year.
Plus, he's not from Ohio State. That's the Saints only draft people from Ohio State.
That's also true. That's also true. All right, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to come back here in a minute. We're going to talk about the Carolina Panthers moves from yesterday. Then the segment after that, want to get to some baseball. Got 2 baseball stories I want to get to. One, Garrett Cole's season-ending Tommy John surgery. He will miss this season and at least a chunk of next season. So what does that do for the American League, A? And B, we have a controversial automatic balls and strikes situation that played out. That's not controversial at all, and anyone who thinks it is dumb. I don't say that very often, but I said it about this.
Wow, so automatically okay, fine.
We'll see when we get there. Let's see when we get there. Rob Lonzo and you, The Rob Brown Show. It's a trap on the Fan Upstate. All right, I got to make a 2-second phone call, guys. Be right back.
I'm glad that ended up being what it was. Because the alternative might have been bad for all of us. So, I mean, you know.
Cracker.
Funny. Damn, 1-1.
Ooh, so do you feel like I set you up?
1-1.
And it's
No, that's on me. I take personal
okay.
responsibility.
All right.
I own it when I screw the pooch,
What you just did.
which I just did.
I got a good shot at getting out of here without losing this week.
Hey, you're 0 for the last 2 weeks. It's been a tough.
And
Tough March.
I'm on vacation in a couple hours.
It's technically Lonzo's Friday, but that just means we're taking this competition till 10 because it doesn't count if he's not here. All right. Let's get to some of the things the Carolina Panthers did yesterday as the free agency negotiation period hath begun. We start with Tershawn Wharton, defensive tackle. Comes over a 3-year, $54 million deal for him to depart the Kansas City Chiefs and make his way to Charlotte, North Carolina. Milton Williams agreed to terms with the New England Patriots to move over, which means that Tershawn Wharton is going to take that spot. Now, what's interesting, obvious, is that the Panthers play about 60% of their snaps in a 3-4. They do have Pro Bowler Derek Brown as the nose tackle, meaning that Tershawn Wharton, is going to be playing some number of snaps, probably about 60% of his snaps as a defensive end in that 3-4 scheme. He did have 6.5 sacks last year. He is just 26 years of age, a young, solid talent to be in the middle. But there are some concerns about Tershawn Wharton. He rated in the lower half of the league on run defense last season. So finding players to stop the run is still a concern for the Carolina Panthers that has to be dealt with. And in a division which you know Atlanta with Bijan Robinson is going to run the ball. You know that the New Orleans Saints, I don't know how many miles left on the tires Alvin Kamara has, but they're going to run the ball. You know that Tampa Bay has been trying to be better about running the ball the last couple of years. In this division, if Carolina wants to compete for it next year, and I think Lonzo and I have landed on the agreement of they absolutely can. They are ready. They're not ready to compete for any other division, but they're ready to compete for this division this year. Does it matter? Are they deep NFC playoff run yet? No. But
baby
getting
steps.
There would be something.
Yeah, baby steps. You
Yeah.
gotta take that next step before you take that big step.
As Tiki Barber pointed out a second ago, your season results are a recruitment tool for free agents. If this team wins the division, makes the playoff, hell, maybe they go in as the last wild card seed and get a round one upset on the road. Now, all of a sudden, they become a much more attractive free agency landing destination, especially if that offense continues on the upward trajectory under Dave Canales. If Dan Morgan really is what I think he is, that bridge player style GM, that guy that knows how to talk and communicate to players in a way that makes them comfortable with the franchise. If all those things are true and Carolina wins the NFC South next year, even if it is only as a 9-win team, a 10-win team, that's a big recruiting tool. So they are going to have to get better, and we will talk to Rashad Beard about this in just a tick over 24 hours. He'll join us tomorrow, ordinarily on Thursday, but we're off on Thursday. So Rashad has been kind enough to say he'll join us tomorrow at 8:40 to talk about all of this. This is a good pickup for a pass rush. You're going to be playing him quite a bit at defensive end. You will have him play occasionally on probably like a 3-style technique as a defensive tackle when you do walk an outside backer up and play more of a 4-3, which is, again, about 35-40% of the snaps in the Evero system. It's a good pickup. Not a great pickup. 13 starts in 72 games, played over 5 seasons at Kansas City. He was more of a depth guy, but Kansas City has had for a couple of years a very good defensive line. Guys that are depth guys in Kansas City absolutely can be starters elsewhere. So I'm intrigued by this pickup. Not a guy that has a ton of starting XP, and certainly not as an end. But 6.5 sacks last year, just 26 years of age. Panthers re-signing Michael Jackson at cornerback. Secondary basically set now as he will play opposite J.C. Horn. We're coming to J.C. Horn here in just a minute. Jackson led the Panthers in pass deflections last season. He had 17 of them. He also saw 1,025 snaps so far, second most in the league. Played well even though he had a lot of targets because J.C. Horn's the lockdown corner on the other side. This is, to me, as you are overhauling a large part of the defense, this is a continuity signing. This is a signing to have a couple of guys that aren't just in the locker room last year, but guys that were on the field and in the locker room last year. Guys that can get out there and kind of be that vet leader. This guy's been here. He's done it. He knows the way that the Evero scheme works. He can be a player coach as well as a good player. And on top of all of that, you sign him for a 2-year, $14.5 million deal for a guy who led the league in snaps, for a guy who had 17 passes, good for a deflection a game. That's fantastic. And you got him, frankly, for a discount, for a steal. This is the type of cat that I honestly think could have very well signed elsewhere for probably 1.5 times, if not more, that money. This is a great pickup. We mentioned J.C. Horn, 4-year extension worth $100 million and a $70 million guarantee. He is now the highest paid defensive backs in NFL history. What's that mean? It means this is your foundational guy. This is your core guy. This is your guy that is going to be the locker room leader for a number of years now. And here's why, even though it is a big contract, $100 million, 70 guaranteed over 4 years, I'll tell you why it's a big deal. Because when the salary cap number goes up annually, defensive backs, especially good defensive backs, their numbers rise in direct proportion. When the cap goes up, contracts like this go up. I think you got him on a similar contract to what a lot of other DBs that are shutdown DBs would have gotten last year. And I think you're going to see over the next year or two. I don't think it's going to be, honestly, all that long before J.C. Horn is no longer the highest paid defensive back in NFL history. I think somebody else is going to be getting that title sooner rather than later. I like this deal. There is only one question mark, which is obviously the injury history. He did play 15 games this past season, selected to his first Pro Bowl. When he is healthy, J.C. Horn is one of the best cornerbacks in the game. But over the past 3 seasons, the Panthers have played 51 games. J.C. Horn has been limited to just 22 of them. He has not been available for half of the Panthers' games. There are some things you have to consider in this. You have to consider that a lot of those games were, respectfully, meaningless games. Games that took place well after the Panthers were out of contention. Games that did not impact the divisional race, did not impact the standings, did not impact any postseason possibilities. Those are the type of games that when you have a guy like J.C. Horn, that you believe is a franchise, that you believe is a foundational cornerstone of your team moving forward, I don't want to throw him out there and risk him. I don't want to put him on the field and take the risk that something worse happens to him. So, yeah, he's been injured. Yeah, he's missed a lot of games. I also think that there have probably been at least a handful of games that JC probably could have gone out there and given it a go, but there's no point to it. You can't accomplish anything, so why not let him rehab, rest, sit out, whatever. If J.C. Horn does not struggle with the injury bug moving forward, this is going to go down as a great signing for the Carolina Panthers. You've locked up an elite top-shelf corner for 4 years. You did it for $100 million, 70 guaranteed, which I guarantee you there'll be, if it's not this offseason, next offseason there will be a DB less talented than J.C. Horn who gets this amount of money. I think that's a great pickup. I'm interested in seeing how that plays out. Pat Jones II, linebacker from Minnesota, comes over on a 2-year, $20 million deal. This is a situational edge rusher. This is a guy that is not going to add a whole lot to the rush defense, but it is a guy that you can put out there when you know it's third and long and you want to have somebody with an explosive acceleration rate off the ball to get to the quarterback. That is something that Carolina did not have last year. You now have Jadeveon Clowney, DJ Wanham, and Pat Jones II, which means that you have versatility in the pass rush. The one thing I can say yesterday about Carolina's moves is that the pass rush got better. Definitively, empirically, the pass rush got better. You added 2 guys in Wharton and Jones that are pass rush specialists. Does that mean they can't participate in the run defense? Not really. Just means they haven't developed into that yet. But he is another cat who is only 26 years old. And if you want to put this into perspective, Josh Sweat, coming off of the Eagles, Super Bowl champion last year, got a 4-year, $76.4 million deal with Arizona. That's what the going rate for I'll say top notch based on a Super Bowl performance. I'll say top notch edge rusher is getting right now. Josh Sweat, another guy, can help in the run game, specialist in the pass rush. $76 million for 4. You got Pat Jones on 2 for 20. I like that. Now, he is coming off a year where he only had 1 sack and 4 combined in his 2 seasons prior to that. So he is a developmental prospect, but he did follow DJ Wanham. I think he's more of a project than Wanham. I also think he has a higher upside. So this is a developmental pick, but I think it could be very good. Carolina did agree to a 2-year, $10.5 million contract extension with Tommy Tremble to keep the vet tight end in the locker room with Jatavion Sanders. I don't have an issue with that. And the center, Austin Corbett, has re-signed, which is interesting because there is one particular beat writer for one particular network who has done a really good job of being repeatedly incorrect covering this team, who said a couple of days ago that Austin Corbett was gone because Corbett wanted to go play for a contender with a locker room that wasn't split. Austin Corbett the next day was like, dog, I don't know where you heard that, but that ain't true. Signed to a 1-year deal to keep the interior of the offensive line that brought Bryce Young's sack total from 62 in his rookie year down to 29 last season. They also kept restricted free agent Cade Mays, who started 8 games after Corbett's season-ending biceps injury in 2024. So you have got a quality group that's been together for a couple of years now. Going to be interesting. Obviously got to deal with the injuries. Just 9 starts the past 2 seasons, but if Corbett can stay healthy, you got a good line coming back that's now played together for a couple of years. That's big for the continued development of Bryce Young. Let's take a break, come back, got some baseball stuff I want to get to you. We'll keep going with football and more on The Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Morning, James. Welcome in, buddy. Good to see you. Good to have you. Everybody else on the stream, good morning. Welcome in.
These J.D. Vance memes are getting out of control.
Dude, they're so ridiculous.
Some of them are amazing,
Some
though.
of them are hilarious.
Here's one of him as every member of Little House on the Prairie. Him as Paw looks pretty good. I mean, look at that. That looks pretty natural. I saw one of him as Thanos earlier. Oh, the best one. I think it might have been who you were just talking about. They said this is not J.D. Vance. This is just how he looks like.
Oh, yeah.
The center. Yeah, I believe it was him. Wharton. I don't know if you're wrong for a bunch. Does that become your thing? Shouldn't be conducive to, long job life. So as I'm packing up my game room to work on the floors yesterday, had the TV on and Con Air came on. You just can't help it.
It's so good.
I ended up the whole time I was packing stuff away, which I'm nowhere near done. The whole time I was packing away, I had a Con Air on.
That's the best. Con Air, you know, we always talk about the movies that, like, if you see it on TV, you're stopping to watch them. My answer is always Tombstone, but Con Air's a very close second place. I'm pushing my putts for a week. I wonder if maybe I move the ball out a little further. Nope, exact same putt.
I think my favorite convict in that whole thing is the pilot. That dude was great.
No love for Cyrus the Virus.
I mean, you know, it's Malkovich. Of course, he's going to be good.
Got the whole
And it was, what, Ving Rhames? He was really good, too.
hands. He's got the whole world in his
I remember watching that for the first time and not knowing that was him when he pulled the mask off. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
And the only one who got away.
He's got all the little children in his hands. He's got all the little children. That song's gonna be in my head for no reason. I gotta find something else now.
Also, Cameron Poe, one of the coolest names.
Cameron
ever in
Poe's a
movie.
great
Yes.
name. You're not wrong. So, you know, on this show, we are big automatic balls and strikes guys over here. Big fans of the Robo-Umps. And I made the argument a couple of days ago that you now have seen that not only does Robo-Ump work, and work spectacularly well when called upon, but that it has been on full display for everybody. It is as simple as watching a single ABS challenge in spring training to come to the recognition and the reality that the ABS is remarkable.
Nope.
Balls are balls, or strikes are strikes. It's not that complicated. Well, we had an interesting situation that took place in the Dodgers-White Sox preseason game a couple of days ago. It is the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, last batter at the dish. And this happened. So, what happened was in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, final batter at the dish. The pitcher throws a ball. It is rung up as strike 3, and the ball game is over. Batter says, yep, hold on, taps the cap. They go to the review. No, it's not. It's outside. Ball 2. Then they line it up and do it again. Pitcher throws another strike. No, it's not. Challenged again. Review again. Says it's ball 3. Now It's 2-3. We got a full count with 2 outs, runner on, down 1. We got an actual ball game here. Under the old system, we wouldn't have had that drama. What we'd have had was a ball called a strike to end the game. The pitcher didn't earn a strike. The batter should not have been punished with a strike as he correctly took a pitch to the outside. He challenged it. It corrects it. It's now ball 2. The same thing happens on the very next pitch. It is once again challenged, once again overruled, and the batter got not 1, but 2 extra opportunities to prove that the pitcher did not earn a strikeout as the pitcher did not throw a strike. How can you be against that? In order to be against that, you have to say, in this situation, just this one, you have to say, I preferred for the batter to get struck out and the game to end with a ball.
Okay,
You have to say that.
So I'm guessing, since you haven't told the end of the story, that so what?
I don't know. I wasn't watching.
So you don't know after all that? You don't know if the guy got on base, if they won the game?
It doesn't matter.
You don't know if the next pitch was a strike?
None of that matters.
It does matter.
No, it doesn't. The impact, what happened on the next pitch is
Wow.
irrelevant to, that was a ball called a strike to end the game, and it wasn't.
Did you just not find that out because it would go against your point if the next one was a strike?
Lonzo, it doesn't matter. If it was caught, the next pitch could have been 99 down the groove for a watched backwards K. That is irrelevant because what happened in that case was the pitcher threw a strike and earned the end of the game. He did not earn the end of the game on the first 2 pitches. He didn't earn the end of the game. That was not a strike.
This is like not reading the last page of a book. I mean, I want to know what happened on the next pitch.
I'll go look
Are we
it
going to
up.
have to wait till tomorrow to find out? And I won't be here.
the reason-
I want to know what happened on the next pitch.
The reason is because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It kind of does.
It doesn't matter at all.
I get this is all about your point about how good the ABS works. I get all that. I still want to know who won the game and if it mattered. If the challenges mattered as far as the end result of the game.
Because the batter got 2 more looks at a pitch that he would not have gotten
All right.
under the old system.
If he strikes out, then they have delayed the end of the game.
Who cares? By how long? 40 seconds.
That unruly crowd.
40 seconds.
That crowd seemed unruly.
40 seconds.
Okay.
They delayed the game.
All right, fine.
40 seconds.
I can't. I'm disappointed that you.
Sorry.
That would-
According to the average of the challenge, 38 seconds.
Okay, fine. I just want to know what happened on the next pitch.
It's irrelevant. The reason I did not go look it up, because no, I did not watch a middle of the day White Sox Dodgers game on a work day. Unfortunately, I didn't have it. I didn't have the opportunity. But the reason I didn't go look it up for a reason, because the reason is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever the outcome was, the situation that matters is there was a pitch that was a ball called a strike to end the game. It was proven that it was a ball. They lined it up again, a second time in a row. A ball was called a strike to end the game. It was not the end of the game.
Was it the same pitch? I mean, was it put in the same place both times?
Twice. Outside both times.
So this is an advantage to the batter because it's been challenged twice. He knows it's a walk, so if it goes, it's a ball. So if it goes there again, he can just sit back and let it be a ball. And
you mean what a batter's supposed to do? Watch a ball.
So
wait.
the ABS is giving the batter an advantage.
So what are we supposed to do? Sorry, pitcher. I'll tell you what. Because the batter saw that pitch already, we're just going to give you the strike. We'll just give it to you. No. If it's a strike, throw a strike. Or here's a concept. If you threw him that pitch and now we've seen that pitch, throw a different pitch.
Why would they call the same exact pitch twice in a row?
Because umpires are fallible and get things wrong.
That's not what I mean. I mean, why would whoever calls the pitch, which is what the
I have no idea. Maybe it's the pitcher's favorite pitch. Maybe that's the pitch he's most comfortable with, and maybe he has spent years. I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't even know who was on the bump for this. I don't care. It's irrelevant. My bet is that guy has probably gotten so used to throwing that pitch and getting balls called strikes that that's just what he does. Every time I got 2 strikes, I'm going to throw that pitch on the outside because umpires ring it up. Whether it's a ball or a strike, I get the
Who are the 2
K.
teams playing again?
The Dodgers and the White Sox. But again, None of what happened after or before those two pitches matters.
Hey, you're
What
not
matters
going
is-
to change my mind about it, and you're not going to change a lot of other people's mind about it. But you did make it interesting, the intrigue, wanting to know if, even though I'm not a baseball fan, now I want to know who won.
It doesn't matter.
It does to me.
If you are arguing against this now, what you have to say, even if it's only for this game, what you now have to say
So
is,
who was up when
I don't know or care.
Okay, so the White Sox won 5-2.
Great. Congratulations, boss. Or
So-
Chicago. Boston.
So everyone out there who wanted to know, now you know.
Now you know an irrelevant fact to this
This
story.
was actually Saturday.
Now you know something that does not matter
was
to the
Saturday,
story.
right?
Okay, Saturday.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
again, I saw the clip yesterday. I didn't even know what happened. Doesn't matter. I do now. And this is the argument. So now if you want to argue against this system, what you have to tell me is that you wish in this scenario that the Dodgers, I shouldn't say the Dodgers because most of you do wish the Dodgers would lose unfairly every time, that a baseball team, regardless of their city of location or name on the front of the jersey, what you have to say is you wish that they would have been given an L on an incorrect call. This is a direct L on a direct incorrect call. You have to say, if you are anti-ABS, the Dodgers should have lost that game on an incorrect call because that's what I like. That is what you have to say to argue against automatic balls and strikes
No,
here.
you don't
You
have
do.
to say anything that you say someone has to say.
If you are arguing ABS, that is the situation you are in favor of. The Dodgers losing on a ball.
It didn't make a difference. Now, if it would have made a difference, that would have helped prove your point, but it did not make a difference. The end score stayed the same. So I'm guessing the next pitch was a strike or dude hit out because no one scored in that inning. And that was it.
It did make a difference because he got another pitch to hit. He got another pitch to hit. And that pitch, in baseball, any one pitch with runners on changes a game. He got another pitch to hit that had the original and incorrect call stood. He would not have got another pitch to hit. If he turns around and on that next pitch, he puts one 475 to right and 2 score, and now we got a tie ball game, now it's the biggest thing in the world. It is not about did he get a hit with the extra pitch. It's that he got the opportunity earned by not swinging at a ball. That's it. If he swings at that pitch, it's a ball outside and he swings outside, he made the choice to swing at a bad pitch. The pitcher earned a strike. That is the part that I am still having to wrap or try to help y'all get your head wrapped around. He can still swing at that pitch. If the pitcher delivers a strike because the batter swung at a ball that looked like a strike, that's a strike. You don't take that off the board. This was a ball that back-to-back pitches that did not cross the plate. Therefore, they are not strikes that were rung up as strikes to end the game. The Dodgers would have lost that game. Now, it's a spring training game. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. But what if that happens in World Series Game 7? We're going to be good with it now? We're gonna say, well, the game ended on a wrong call, but it's just the World Series. No. What if that happens in the NLCS to determine who's going to the World Series? What if that happens to what if Ronald Acuna's up there and here comes the pitch and he watches it for what he thought is ball 2 and the umpire rings him up on a strike on a ball and the Braves get knocked out of the World? I don't know about you. I'd be furious. We can fix it. And here is the other angle of this that just got elevated. We added 38 seconds because the average challenge is taking 14 to 17 seconds. So at the max end of this, 34 seconds added to the game. Okay? So we added 34 seconds to give the batter the opportunity that he earned for one more pitch because the pitcher threw 2 balls. We extended the game 34 seconds to get it right. Now, imagine if instead of having to go through the whole challenge song and dance of batter steps out, umpire calls a strike, everybody's walking away, batter says, whoa, hold on, I think that was outside, taps the cap, umpire turns around, looks up at the box, waits for the call, then he's got to turn around again, wait for it to go on the video board, then he's got to wait 34 seconds. What if we just let it call the balls and strikes? There would have been no delay there. It would have been ball 3, line them up, pitch another one. That's it. Like, it doesn't make sense at this point not to just go full ABS. It doesn't make sense because in literally 3 pitches, it got proven that umpires are wrong. They can be wrong on the same thing repeatedly. The ABS corrects wrong calls to right calls and gives the pitchers and batters the rewards that they earn or don't earn on their performance. And it can do it el rapido. To say that ABS is bad just on this game, you have to say, I think that batter should have been struck out and the game ended and the team lost on a wrong call, even though we got shown on a big-ass Jumbotron that we can get the call right. We can get the call right that fast. It's right there. I was going to say in black and white, but it's in black and hot pink to make it even easier for you. It's right there. How can anyone argue against this at this point? Yeah, you know what? I think it's good. I think it's good that a batter gets struck out on a ball to end the game. I think it's good that that team lost on a bad call. Cool. I don't. And if you're asking me which one of those 2 positions is the better position to hold, this might shock you, but it's mine. And I'll stand on that. Okay. I feel better. I got it out. That's been brewing. That's been storming. I wanted to get it out, and now I did. You know what else we're going to get out? Information to you in the most glorious way possible when Lonzo reads his sports flash.
Completionist information, not that stuff that Rob just did where he only told you part of the story. Just say
This was irrelevant.
That's it. It was relevant.
I'm about efficiency and cutting fraud and waste.
Okay, whatever. The Wofford Terriers are headed to the dance after a furious late-game rally led them past the Furman Paladins 92-85 in the Southern Conference Championship game yesterday. Wofford trailed by 4 with 2:34 remaining, but were led by Jackson Sevilles and his 4 3-pointers to take the win. They're pretty 3-pointers too, by the way. Justin Bell added 19 and Dylan Bailey scored 15 for the Terriers, who will go dancing for the 6th time in school history with the automatic berth. Don Staley's Gamecock basketball team will enter the national championship tournament ranked 2nd in the AP poll, just behind UCLA. The Gamecocks earned 9 first-place votes, 7 less than the Bruins, and 2 more than the UConn Huskies. Make sure you tune in this afternoon, 3 to 7 p.m. for Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel ride shotgun on your drive home. Not my best, I know, but vacation. And I'm still baffled by the whole thing of not telling the final score and what the next pitch was. And it just, you know. We didn't go that early. This break must have been really short. So there's a new era hat for Texas that was vulgar? I'm trying to see why it looks vulgar. Oh, okay. I see it now. Oh, no, I don't. It's actually a Spanish word. Okay. That's why I don't get it. So if people who don't speak Spanish had no idea that it's supposedly a Spanish word, vulgar word, why is that? I don't.
Talk about the hat?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because theirs and the Angels are both moments that, like, come on, guys. You had to know.
No, they didn't, because it's Spanish. And not everyone knows. All right, the majority of people in this country speak American English. They don't speak Spanish. What is the percentage of Spanish-speaking people in this country?
Quick question. What state does that team play in?
Texas.
Which has an enormous Spanish-speaking population. If nothing else, you're telling me you didn't have
It does
one
still?
person on staff that speaks Spanish that goes,
it
whoa, whoa,
still
whoa, whoa,
does?
whoa, whoa, whoa. Maybe, guys, maybe. Don't do that one. I mean, the hats are just poorly designed.
You
anyway.
can tell me later what the word means, because I don't. Oh, okay.
It's the slang word, the way that we have a word that starts with T for those.
Okay.
Yeah. Which again, end of the world? No.
All right. It made it
Hilarious?
sound like it was
Objectionable.
something really, really
No,
bad.
It's that word for the lady bits up top.
Okay.
Final hour of the Rob Brown Show underway now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob the Great Malonzo and you. Be a part of the show, 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. If you want to jump on board, now's the opportunity for you to do so. You can text that number. You can call that number, 844-326-3663.
Poof.
I got a couple of things that I want to run through here in this segment of the radio broadcast. Two in particular, both goofy stories that I absolutely love have cracked me up. So, Lonzo brought up one of them during the break. The Major League Baseball spring training caps came out. Now, if you're a baseball gear guy, then grabbing these caps when they drop is ordinarily a big deal. Well, this year's, they are very interesting in two different ways. One is the design that the teams decided to go with this year. Now, to describe the design, I can simply say this. The hats are pretty standard baseball caps, and they have either the team name or the city or state name, the primary script name of whatever team. So, like, the Orioles have the word Orioles in that orange cursive font, Boston has Boston in that classic Old English constitutional style font. Yankees have Yankees in the script font. Arizona has Arizona in that kind of like Western with the like fang hook on the end of the letters font, right? They all have Cardinals written across the front of the cap for St. Louis in the script Cardinals. They all have their either team name or city or state name written in their team font. And then slapped right in the middle of that is the primary team logo. So like, for instance, Tampa Bay. It says Rays in that font that has the R where the hook on the R comes underneath and then becomes the tail of the Y as well. But it's got their white block TB slapped on top of it. The Nationals have the script upward angled Nationals, but it has their curly W slapped on top of it. And the center logo is big and bold, meaning that if it is a solid logo, like say the Blue Jays, the head of the Blue Jay, or the H with the star underneath it for the Houston Astros, then it actually sits on top of and blocks the middle of the script, whatever. So like the Miami Marlins hat, it has the script Miami, but it has the block M with the Marlin coming off of it in the middle of the hat, meaning that of the word Miami, all you can see is the opening M, the capital M on the left, and then the MI sticking out on the right. The I and the A are blocked out by the logo. The Chicago Cubs, it says Chicago in that classic Wrigley Field block lettering, blue cap, red lettering, Chicago across the back, but their primary logo is that red C with the Bear logo in the middle. It blocks out most of the I, the C, and the big C in the middle, and most of the A. So you can say CH, some of the I, some of the A, GO. The Brewers, for instance. The Brew Crew have, in my opinion, perhaps the most genius logo in baseball. Their logo is a glove with a ball in the middle, but if you actually look at it, the webbing of the glove makes an M for Milwaukee, and the thumb and the palm of the glove with the baseball in the palm make a B. So that glove logo is actually an M and a B for the Milwaukee Brewers. But as it is block on the Brewers cap, you can see BR glove RS. The reason that I tell you all of this is because of two teams in particular that have had to take their caps right back off of the shelves. The Texas Rangers and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Now, I know some of you are doing this in your head already, and that's okay. We're here to help. I will start with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They, of course, have the big block Angels across the front, but they also have their primary logo, which is the same A that starts off Angels. It's a block A with a halo that wraps around the top of the A, as they are obviously the Angels. Except for on their cap, the A only blocks out the G in Angels. So I will let you, when you spell the word Angels, but remove the G, I will let you say in your own head what letters are remaining visible and what that word turns into. It's not a real word. We're keeping it real goes wrong. It's not a real word, but
That's annals?
I mean, if I was going Angels and I kept that same sound, but I took the G out of it, you would end up with something that even Rob Brown's not comfortable saying on the radio.
Annals. Yes. Like history.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's exactly. Which is exactly why the Angels pulled that cap from the store.
Yeah, because their history is not very good. So
I mean, that is true. They had Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout on this team, didn't go to a playoff game. Didn't get a playoff win, excuse me. It's pretty impressive. So that cap's pulled off the store.
All right, so that one I get. And why would someone, the marketing person who did it, not go, I don't know, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Or unless it was a bro going, dude,
This is going to be so
let's see
damn
if we
funny.
get rid of it. We got away with it.
If you were one of the lucky few who were able to purchase this hat before it was yanked off of the team store,
Rob would like to buy an Annals hat if you got one.
definitely an Annals of History hat to celebrate, obviously, the rich and lucrative history of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And not because it's hilarious to those of us with the mindsets of an 18-year-old man. They are not. Correct. Correct. You can laugh all you, or you can Beavis and Butthead me all you want. That's hilarious. Now,
America.
James said, I bet the designer felt like a real butt. Hang on, let me set my golf club down so that I can give you a clap for that joke. I like that joke a lot. Number 2, the Texas Rangers had to yank their Major League Baseball cap off of the shop yesterday. Now, this one probably didn't jump off the page to as many people. However, if you are either a fluent speaker of Spanish or you just learned obscene words in Spanish, then the Rangers cap is for you. The Rangers didn't go with Rangers because that's not their primary. Their primary logo says Texas, Texas, and it goes across the entire front of the cap. The Rangers decided for their primary logo to go with a big block T. Well, that big block T covers up the X in Texas, meaning the letters that are left. Am I allowed to spell? This is where.
So it's like when you say goodbye and you say ta-ta?
Kinda.
Okay.
Kinda. What is left is Texas, but the X is replaced with a T. Now, I don't know what the rules are for saying a word that means something that is, I believe, a word that is frowned upon on local terrestrial public radio.
Bye-bye, ta-ta.
Yeah.
Abiento. See you later.
I believe if I said bye-bye, ta-ta, but then I took that last word and stuck an S on the end, is that radio friendly? I actually don't know.
No, I don't know either, and now you don't have to.
So, the Rangers put out a cap that says Texas, but the X is covered up by a T. So, now you know what that is. Well, in Spanish, what is left over, which is Texas with a T instead of an X, is a Spanish, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Wait, they're talking about breasts.
Yes.
Okay.
However,
all right.
like we can say breasts on the radio
Right, which
because
is why,
that's what they are.
Which is why I just did. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's the actual
And we
scientific name for them.
we all have them.
Everybody has them.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine. That is what the name of those are. However, there's another word in English for that particular portion of the female anatomy that also starts with a T that I don't know if I can or can't, but I won't.
No, you cannot.
I didn't think so. And that is the equivalent of this word in Spanish. So this would be, can I say it if I'm talking about the bird? If I was talking about bird watching?
No.
Because there is a bird called that.
Now, if you
And
were,
that is the name of the bird?
If you were probably might be able to get away with if you were talking about a town in South Carolina. Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe
Yes.
you could.
Yes.
Maybe you could. I don't know that you should, but maybe you could.
I'm comfortable saying if Sugar Tit, South Carolina, which is a city, and so therefore I am allowed to say it on the radio, if Sugar Tit, South Carolina started a professional baseball team and then they named it after the city, but only the second half of the name of the city, and then pluralized it. That is what this hat says in Spanish.
I'm not sure it's a city, by the way. I think it's just a town.
Rural
But
community.
there we go.
If the if that place, if that town, shout out Sugar Tit Distillery, by the way. I finally had their stuff not too long ago.
As a non-drinker, I don't know, but is it good?
It's pretty good.
Is it?
I was pretty happy. The problem for me is when I go that way to leave town, usually I'm on a schedule, and Sugar Tit Distillery's a little bit out of the way. I don't have time. I had somebody on the way back to town who asked, was coming to stay with me for a couple of days, coming to crash at the Casa for a couple of days, and they were doing a little exploring around South Carolina. And so they were asking me what's some of the stuff I can do in the upstate. They were here 3 days. I had to work. I was like, well, you got this, that, and the other. And I was like, I got to tell you, they wanted to know about some of the breweries and distilleries and all that. And I was like, there's a couple that I really, really like. One I have not gotten a chance to get to is Sugar Tit. And he looks at me and goes, well, I'm going. Correct. And he brought me some. It's pretty good. I was pretty happy with it. There is definitely less than a full jar hanging in the, or on the bar that's hanging in the bar room.
They come in jars?
Yeah, it's moonshine,
It's
baby.
moonshine. Okay.
Yeah, it comes
All
in a
right.
jar.
Is it a mason jar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
classic. It's great. So my point here is, if the rural community of Sugar Tit was to start a baseball team, name it after the city, but drop the sugar and pluralize it, that's what this Rangers cap says in Espanol. I want one so bad. I want one. And
The hat.
they yanked it off the rack
You want
immediately.
you want the hat.
The hat,
Okay.
correct.
Okay. All right.
Correct. I am telling you, because there's going to be, first off, my bet is everybody who immediately saw that laughed their rear end off and immediately bought it is probably getting an email today going, we are very sorry, but we're unable to fulfill this order. Which I have to tell you, might have been the most disappointing moment of the week for me. Might have been the most disappointing moment of the month for me. Maybe of 2025. You're telling me I had a hat that if Sugar Tit, South Carolina had a baseball team and named themselves after the second half of the name of their town and put an S on the end, but in Spanish, and you're not giving me that hat now, that might have been the most disappointing thing that's happened to me this year. That is, call me a child. It's hilarious. Texter says, I'm a Texas Rangers fan because of the Spartanburgers, and then sent me, Lonzo, I don't know how to describe this, but I guess it's an emoji of that particular body part. And it's artistic and tastefully done, as all things are here on the Rob Brown Show. But an emoji.
That's very important.
It is. It's very artistic and tastefully done. But an emoji, I'm a fan of the Spartanburgers, and then an emoji of that particular body part, which is incredible. Texas said, have you ever been to Sugar Tit Distillery or in Espanol? And then spells out what I can only assume is Sugar Tit Distillery, but in Spanish. And it's what that hat says on it, but then with the Spanish word for distillery afterwards. Spectacular. I would be so wildly disappointed if I bought that hat and then I got an email that said, sorry, we're unable to fulfill this order. Here's your money back. I don't want my money back. I want that hat.
Yeah, but you were just told you can go to that distillery and get something similar.
If I go to the Sugar Tit Distillery and they have a hat that just says that on it, I'm not even buying the moonshine. I'm just buying that hat and some moonshine. All right. I am sorry if you thought that was a waste of 15 minutes of your life. I didn't. That's beyond hilarious to me. What a good... You're telling me between the LA Angels of Anaheim and the Texas Rangers, there wasn't one person who looked at, because I'm telling you, I've been around teams when they're designing their merch, when they're putting their merch through the R&D, when they're putting their merch through the fan council. Do you like this? Would you buy this? Should we make this available? And then when they send it to the graphic design studio and say, all right, we want to change this, that, and the other, and then they send it back to the team, and the team does the whole thing, and it goes through this cycle multiple times. Even for the smallest of professional franchises, it goes through this cycle multiple times, and there are plenty of times for somebody to go, hey, you guys are aware that if you take the G out of Angels and replace it with an A, it kind of sounds like a word you don't maybe want to have your fans wearing on a hat. Hey, you do know that if you take the X out of Texas and replace it with a T, it becomes a Spanish slang word for a particular portion of the female anatomy. Not one person in Major League Baseball or in those two franchises went, hey guys, maybe no. Maybe we should use anything else. Maybe just anything else. Let's take a break. When we come back, a parent faced an impossible decision regarding to sports and their kids. I want to run it by you and see if you feel they made the right call, because I am very curious. That's next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, quick live read. We're coming back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you.
stuff for inside the company. And it's like, okay, I don't know what that is.
What the hell is Tudor Town?
You haven't heard? I've heard of Tudor Town. I'm
What
not.
is Tudor Town?
I'm not sure I've been to Tudor Town, but maybe because I go through a lot of towns and don't know I went
Tudor
through them.
Town in Greer is a quaint establishment nestled in the heart of Greer, offering a unique selection of handmade gifts and artisanal goods. Well, they got an Instagram. Is it like an antique store? Sincerely, I don't know what Tudor
I thought it was an actual town. I've heard of it
looks
before.
like it's a. Looks like it's kind of like a restaurant brewery. I don't know. All right, I got to find out.
Where did I see them hats? You probably don't talk that way. I'm sorry, Mike. That's how I heard it.
So the Masters Golf Tournament is coming up here in about a month. If you are a fan of golf, the Masters is your Taj Mahal. It is your Vatican. It is your cathedral. I have been, for years, entering myself annually into the only way, unless you know a guy who knows a guy, to get Masters tickets. Every year, they hold a lottery. And every year, you enter yourself into the lottery. And if you are one of the lucky few selected, you can buy one of the few Masters tickets that are released to the public. Ordinarily, tickets are in the hand of patrons and they stay, and they're like season tickets. They renew them every year. And so to get them, you either got to know somebody who has them and they give them, or you buy them from them, which, by the way, you're not supposed to sell them. So, like, even that's kind of risky because if you get caught selling them, you can lose them. So you got to know somebody who is willing to put them in your hands one way or another. Or you got to go through this lottery and you've got to be awarded tickets. I and my wife have been entering ourselves in the lottery since before we knew each other. She has been to Augusta one time. She won a lottery years ago that allowed her to go to a practice round and walk Augusta. I have not won the lottery yet. I have also not yet been cleared for a press pass because I'm going to tell you straight up right now, I get approved for a press pass to the Masters. Suckers, I will not be here that Thursday and Friday. I'll be working, okay? Walking the grounds at Augusta.
I got to say, out of the entirety of this radio station, I don't know if anyone ever got a press pass. I know some guys went, but it's because they knew a guy.
Yeah, you got to know a guy. I know in my broadcasting portfolio, I know two people who have covered the Masters. Both of them are national outlet writers. Jay Busby is one of them, who we've had on this show many, many times. And then a guy named David Nuno, who used to broadcast down in Houston. I know two guys that have been there. And of all my friends, I know probably like four guys that have been to Augusta for a tournament. One of them, whose father bought in, so he's got tickets every year. And this guy...
What? Oh, man. I just lost right there.
2-1 with 34 minutes to play.
I was going to say, what about your guy who used to call all the time from different golf courses?
Mike Ward. He has been to a practice round. Never been to a tournament day. They're hard to kind. He's a live, sleep, eat, breathe golf guy. That's all he does is sell houses and play golf. That's his life. He loves it.
And put it in your face, which is hilarious.
Correct. So there's a young lady on Twitter by the handle at K. Claire Rogers. K. Claire Rogers sent out a tweet a few days ago that said, "My dad won the Masters lottery, and now it's my job to stir the pot in the family group chat until he picks which kid to take." He got, she thought, 2 tickets. And he had to pick it because most people win the lottery, you get an opportunity to get 2 tickets. And I will tell you, though I have never done it, the one person I know who has won the lottery, oh, you better believe that fella became the most popular guy in his friend group for a while. And he also told me that trying to pick who he was going to bring to the Masters was the hardest decision he's ever had to make in his life, which I get it. I get it. That's an impossible task. So, My question would be, for those of you that have multiple children, multiple kids, let's say, for the sake of not being able to take the weasel way out and say, well, if I had 2 kids, I would give 1 ticket to each of my kids, or I'd take them. Genuinely, if you've got 2 or more kids and you have to use it because you have to use a ticket, if you win the lottery, you got to go. If you add 1 extra ticket, how are you handling this if all your kids want to go to the Masters? How do you handle that? Do you pay, like, no parent, even though you're all lying, no parent says, I have a favorite kid. You do. You all do. Don't lie to me. You absolutely do. You may love them equally, but you like one of them more. Okay? So how would you handle this? The reason I ask is because a couple of days later, K. Claire Rogers returned to Twitter, and she disclosed how Papa Rogers handled this situation. Papa Rogers handled this situation, Lonzo, according to K. Claire Rogers, the following way. Her return to Twitter said, quote, massive update. My dad revealed that he only requested 1 ticket for 2 reasons. 1, he thought the Masters might feel bad for a guy requesting to go alone and throw him a bone. And 2, so he wouldn't have to pick which child to take. He's very excited for his solo day at Augusta. Zoe, you're a dad with multiple children. Fair or foul from Pops to win the lottery and request 1 ticket so that he didn't have to pick a child?
First of all, it's kind of cool that his kids are into golf that way, that they want to go. I mean, you know, if I were to do that, my kids would be like, yeah, go ahead, Dad. We don't want to go see that. Which I've played golf. I've had fun with golf. I would like to go to Masters just because I could say I did it and you didn't. I mean, that would be about it. I would absolutely do that, and I don't have a problem with them doing it. I mean, that way you don't have to pick, and it's too bad for the kids. Too bad.
I think he handled it the best way possible.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think there's a better way to handle it, because here's
Plus, you know what? It's a lot cheaper if you go by yourself. I'm just saying.
Well, here's the thing. Outside of the lodging, Augusta's not expensive. Like, the tickets, if you win the lottery, they're not expensive. The food and drinks and concessions, like, Augusta is famous for never raising concession prices. You can go to Augusta and get a whole lunch for like $5.
See, that's what everyone says.
It's notorious for being cheap.
But since we haven't been there, we're just going on hearsay.
No, people will, like, annually, the Augusta, like, post its concession stand menu and all that. Like, it's verified. It's just a cheap experience. I've got friends, a couple of friends, not many, but a couple who have been, and that's their biggest thing is
you got to make it cheap because it's pimento cheese sandwiches.
Pimento cheese delicious, and I will hear no slander.
Who would want that?
Me. Pimento cheese is delicious.
You're going to hear it. You've heard it before, and you'll hear it again.
Delicious.
It's okay. It's not what everyone. I mean, if it's there and it's the only thing, yeah, I'll eat it, but not in a great amount.
Oh, pimento cheeseburger, untouchable.
Yeah, but we're not talking about burger. We're just talking about pimento cheese sandwiches.
Pimento is good on its own.
They have another sandwich there too, don't they?
Egg sandwich.
Yeah, I'll go with the egg sandwich.
Fine too. Also delicious. I am going to applaud Mr. K. Claire Rogers' dad. What a way to handle this. What a way to handle this. You know what? I'm not going to risk one of my kids being mad because I took the other kid. Nope. I'm just not taking either of you, and you can both be mad. I'm going to Augusta. I got to tell you, I think this is great. Buckeye Mike just texted the show. And I don't know, Mike, if you're going to get in trouble for me reading this text, but I'm going to read it anyway. He texted, I love both my kids equally, but they both can get on my nerves. I would take my son-in-law. Buckeye Mike, I don't know if you're going to be in trouble with your kids for this or not. I don't care. I applaud you. You know why I applaud you? I applaud you for being honest. I applaud you for being honest and being willing to say, no, I ain't taking either one of my kids. They would both get on my nerves. I'm taking my son-in-law. He's the golf guy. I respect that. immensely.
Well, why don't you put it in perspective for a favorite sport of like, say, if I had a chance to go to Arrowhead
Sure.
and
You get 2 tickets, and your wife and Miss Lisa can't go for whatever reason. She got a big job conference she can't miss. It's a promotion for $1 million a year job. She can't go. You get 2 tickets, and you got to pick a kid. Could you do it? Or would you be like, oh, I only got 1 ticket? Like, how would you handle that?
I would take Rob Brown.
Aw. I'm his favorite kid. That makes me feel better. I'm blushing. I think Mr. K. Claire Rogers handled this like a beaut. You know what, kids? Not only am I not taking either one of you so that neither one of you can be more mad at me. You can either both be equally mad at me or you can both get over it or whatever. But on top of that, I'm going to manipulate the system. I'm going to order 1 ticket so they look and go, this poor S of a B doesn't have any friends or family. We're going to give them that ticket. And the other aspect of this is, what happens if they get to the end of the lottery? There's a bunch of people who requested 2, and there's one guy who just requested 1. Bang, playing the numbers. Maybe he gets lucky, and they go, well, we got 1 ticket left, and here's this guy who only asked for 1 ticket, so obviously he gets it. What a genius. Good on you, Mr. K. Claire Rogers.
How many pictures do you send back to the kids? Having a great time.
Well, here's the thing.
Look how cheap the prices are.
You cannot take your phone onto that golf course.
All right.
So not only is he solo at Augusta, but he's solo at Augusta, and they can't bother him. They can't be blowing his phone up like, hope you're having fun, Dad, you jerk. Hope you're having a great time, Dad, you suck. Nope. My man is just going to be out there basking in the sunshine, smelling the scent of the magnolia, noshing down on some Memento cheese and egg sandwiches, drinking that $1 sweet tea, and living his best by himself dad life. Good on you, Mr. K. Claire Rogers, for living your best life. Spectacular. Let's take a break. Got a couple of quick sports stories to run you through as we wrap up the show. That's next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right. South Carolina spring football practice announcement. Scarlet and Black game is April 18th.
Wait, they're still having one?
Yep, so is Clemson. They start spring practice next week. Golly. No offseason, baby.
Well, when you had an early exit for the playoffs or didn't make the playoffs, it's not really that. I mean,
We did not. I got to tell you, Steven, I have missed a lot this year. I missed the 5-year anniversary of this show. I didn't do anything. I missed Super Mario Day yesterday.
oh, I knew it was going on. I'm just not a Nintendo guy.
I'm
So-
okay. Well, Nintendo was Super Mario Brothers specifically was my jumping off point.
I mean, I played Mario and several different of those, but just not a Nintendo guy.
I was a big Super Mario. I don't know why. One of my core memories was Super Mario Brothers getting to a level that I could not pass as a kid. I say kid, like 4 or 5. We had an NES. And giving it to my mom and asking her for help. And not only did she clear that level, my mother, an avid, not video gamer, beat the game. Blew through the game.
So how did that make you feel?
Blew my mind. Like,
I mean,
I guess that's
proud,
probably...
I guess, but also probably not proud of yourself.
I mean, again, like I was 5, so I don't know that I
Oh,
had a sense
okay.
of pride
Alright,
yet.
alright.
You know, it was probably 5 or 6, somewhere in that range. Like old enough to start playing video games.
Well, there was a
not.
time when I would do that for Cameron
Yeah.
and Raven. Now they can do it for me. I mean, because I hate parkour stuff,
Yeah.
and I like misjudge jumps and stuff. So I mean, and there's a certain amount of frustration, and then also there's
Oh, you know what? You say that. Hang on. Sorry. You say that. I do remember. I don't remember where it was in the game, but I do remember that the problem that I had in the game was in the OG Mario Brothers game where there were spots that you had to jump and there were pillars that you had to land on, but some of them were just like one little block wide, and so you had to jump and land right on that
Yeah.
little block, and then you had to like run and jump off of it, and I couldn't do it, and my mom was just knocking them out, and then we got to the end of that level, and I was just like, keep going, and she just beat the game.
well, now if I have a problem, I get Pappy pep talks. You don't want a Pappy pep talk.
I kind of do.
No, well,
kinda
no,
do.
no. It's funny
Kinda
at
do.
first, and then it's just like, oh my gosh, would you please stop? Because it just goes until you get past something.
Corn Chip texts the show. He said, that's why I milk all the big events where my daughter is still free. Wanted to do the PGA Championship and debating about taking her to Shaky Knees since she's free, but I also don't want to be miserable dealing with her at something like that. Thank you. Can I tell you how appreciative I am of those of you that are
Why?
willing
How
to be
old
honest?
is she? Why would you be miserable?
I mean, it matters.
If she's 3, maybe I get it, but if she's like 24, I mean,
Some of y'all, I appreciate the parents who are willing to be honest and be like, yeah, sometimes my kid's annoying. Like sometimes it happens.
when my kids are annoying, I'm like, I get it because I'm their dad. So if they're annoying,
Were
they're
you willing
doing-
to call your kids annoying when they were kids though? Because your kids is grown. Your kids is grown now.
as far as we didn't go a lot of places
No, just in general.
because they were rambunctious.
When they were youngsters, would you be like, my kids are annoying?
no, because
Not to them, just in general.
No, I don't think I ever said, yeah, I got to get away from here because my kids are annoying. And their whole time growing up, I was running the morning show so I could be there for everything they did. So, but my dream and my goal in life was to do that. So I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. That's just what it was. So how could it be annoying when
I think you can
I'm looking
love.
at?
I think you can love. I know people in my life that I very much love, and yet sometimes will be like, dude, you're annoying me right now. I know people who do that to me, shockingly enough. I know. It's weird. All right, let's get a couple of news stories in here before we get up out of here for a day. We mentioned it earlier in the show. Garrett Cole will not play football this year as Garrett Cole is going to have Tommy John surgery. That's going to keep him out for the duration of this season. That is also going to keep him out likely for a significant portion of next season. Garrett Cole is on roughly the same timeline that, for you Braves fans, Spencer Strider was on last year, where he missed all of last season, and he's going to miss a good portion of the beginning of this season as well. So he will be out for some period of time next year as well. That is a devastating blow for the New York Yankees, as we are just a couple of weeks away from Major League Baseball's opening day, where the Yankees are going to be efforting a repeat and defense of their American League pennant. It has been the opinion of one Cody Decker and Rob Brown, host of Bet for the Cycle, which airs every Saturday from noon to 4, except, it'll air this Saturday. I just won't be on it. I'll be down in New Orleans, Louisiana. Texas said Garrett Cole won't play football this year, maybe because he's a baseball player. Rob? Yeah, no, okay. I'm trying to get you guys a bunch of news on the way out the door, okay? I messed up. What do you want? I've done 4 hours of radio standing up for you people. I made one mistake. Or 7. Doesn't matter. Not the point.
I don't see why you're standing up for them.
Not the point.
They don't need you to stand up for them.
I'm standing up for me. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be healthier. This is part of that effort. Garrett Cole will not play baseball this year. Sorry, I got a bunch of football stories we're about to run through. He will not play baseball this year for the New York Yankees, as they are set to try to defend their AL pennant, make their way back to the World Series, probably to get a rematch against the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are the way odds-on betting favorite out of the National League to end up back in the Big Show. This is big. You also add on to the fact that Luis Gil, last year's reigning, defending, undisputed Rookie of the Year, he is going to miss at least 3 months with a latch strain, meaning the Yankees are now down 3 of their 5 opening day rotational guys. And in a year that I think the Boston Red Sox are going to be good. They had Bregman. Devers and he have come to that agreement. I think Bregg's going to end up playing second. Devers going to stay at third. They have added pitching. I think this Red Sox team is going to be the most improved team of this year. They weren't bad last year. I think they're going to be the most improved team. And now all of a sudden, their AL East rivals are licking their wounds. Now all of a sudden their AL East rivals have lost their ace, are going to be in a 3-month hole without Luis Gil, going with only 3 of their 5 projected opening day starters. All of a sudden, the American League is real interesting.
All right, let me interrupt you just for a moment because there's a radio perk, and I want to brag about this to some people who don't get it because we do. Apparently, there's a new flavor of ice cream downstairs called banana fudge that we can go sample. I don't know if it's still going to be there by the time we get off the air.
I mean, it should. I think they just set up. I mean, we do work with people that I would absolutely believe they could bring like 10 gallons and would be
there's
gone.
There's people who showed up to work today that ain't been here in a month probably because there's ice cream. I'm just saying, banana fudge sounds amazing.
We'll have a review tomorrow because, yes, I am immediately going downstairs to get some, without a doubt. Without a doubt. What I hope they don't do is they bring them
No,
those,
it's not too early for ice cream.
Those little sampler, like the little tiny samplers.
I hope they don't have wooden spoons or I got a problem.
Oh, you do have a problem. Okay, so there's some baseball talk for you. We'll see how that goes out. We'll talk more about that tomorrow on the radio show. We got a couple more stories I want to get to. Kyle Juszczyk, released by the San Francisco 49ers. 8 years of service came to its conclusion with that loss to Arizona in the regular season last year. Juszczyk was set to count for about $6.5 million towards the cap, has void years on the deal through 2028. That would have cost an additional 1.7 against the cap in 2026. After his contract expired, Juszczyk's release means the Niners will save $2.9 million against this year's cap with a dead money charge of $3.5 million. Overall, so they get a little bit of salary cap space. But in return, we are one step closer towards the extinction of the fullback in football. I love Juszczyk. Juszczyk was one of like 2 49ers that I really liked
could pick him up, right? I mean,
somebody could, but Kyle Juszczyk is also like closer to 40 than 25. Well, I guess he's 33.
He's trying to think of another offense that uses a fullback. I don't know.
We're running out. I mean, I guess I could technically say Baltimore does with Derrick Henry, but he's not a fullback, but he runs like one. Outside of that, there's not a lot. You know where I could see him landing? How about Denver? How about Sean Payton? Sean Payton used to use a fullback back in the Drew Brees days. They had a couple of guys rotated through there that became big time inside of 2-yard threats. Maybe Denver could use him. I don't know. We'll see if use ends up anywhere. Over in the NHL, Nathan MacKinnon has made history. He becomes the 100th NHL player to reach the 1,000-point milestone in his career. Did it last night in a 3-0 shutout win over the Chicago Blackhawks. MacKinnon entered the game needing 1 point. He ended up with 2 third-period assists that got him to 1,001. He is, again, the 100th player to reach 1,000 points. He is also the 3rd player in Avalanche franchise history. The other 2 to do it, Joe Sakic and Peter Stastny, both of whom are NHL Hall of Famers. MacKinnon's have been here for a while, had some of the best teammates to ever play. Pretty fortunate. Obviously, it's a cool milestone, but it's over now, and I look forward to tomorrow night. MacKinnon was the top draft pick in the 2013 draft. He is the first player from that class to reach 1,000 points. We'll see if he can continue the streak going. Hockey's got a lot going on right now. You got Ovechkin, Jason Gretzky. We're going to see if he's able to get there. I do think he will probably sometime around if I had to guess, around the middle of April based on the pace that he's on right now. Washington is starting a 3-game roadie out in California today. They are minus 195 betting favorites on the road at Anaheim tonight. A very good chance for him to move within 8 of the great one. Of course, Brad Marchand will make his not his debut for the Florida Panthers, but Just a few days after he gets sent from the Boston Bruins to the Florida Panthers. Lonzo, where do the Florida Panthers play their game at tonight? On the road in Beantown. Brad Marchand making his way back to Boston to take on the team that just traded him away. He was the captain of the Bruins, and they sent him down to become the newest member of the Panthers. That game, we'll see the puck hit the ice at 7 p.m. tonight. I am kind of really excited about that because Marchand did his press debut the other day, and he was like, I feel rejuvenated. You know what Brad Marchand is? Freaking Brad. Brad's got a history on this show. Brad Marchand's that guy that, like, he's our when he's on your team. Like, I still don't like him, but you better believe I fully expect Brad to be laying the hammer down on the on the Bruins tonight. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. We'll see how that plays out. Over in the landscape of collegiate football, we got to this a little bit yesterday. We are starting to get spring football dates that are rolling out. We got one during the break there about the South Carolina Gamecocks. Their spring game is now going to is officially on the books now for Friday, April 18th. The Garnet and Black spring game will be Friday, April 18th. I will look to get over there for that event, assuming, obviously, that it is a night game. I will look to get over there. They are also going to open up four spring practices, portions of them, to the media. So I'll see how much I can get spring game-wise for the South Carolina Gamecocks for you. We will let you know when Clemson releases their full schedule of practices, etc., moving forward, and what all that is going to look like as well. And, yeah, I'll say for today, outside of what the X is going on, that's pretty much going to do it.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
You know, we missed this in free agent moves earlier. Free agent quarterback Darius Slay is signing with the Steelers.
Who?
Darius Slay.
Just wanted to make sure.
It's a wonderful cornerback, Darius Slay.
Hey, Darius, how you feeling about the Steelers?
All right, the first thing that's Xing is Russell Wilson.
I said earlier in the show that the best quarterback still remaining for the probably one team that needs it is Aaron Rodgers. I think maybe it is Russell Wilson. Here's what I don't want to pretend. Russell Wilson and the Steelers offense fell off at the end of last year. No doubt about that. But I would also make the argument that the Steelers have fallen off in the second half of every football season dating back to 2017. That's happened to everyone who has been the quarterback for that team. He is 37.
Russell Wilson fell off. I don't know that
The
it was
Steelers fell off.
I'm going to go Russell Wilson fell off.
I know you are.
The next thing that's Xing is Ray Phoenix.
I honestly don't know why Ray Phoenix is Xing.
Okay, so I haven't watched Raw, but I've seen clips. I'm going to watch it today. A certain luchador showed up that looked a lot like Chad Gable. But then Chad Gable was being interviewed, and a luchador was being escorted out the building. And everyone believes it's Ray Phoenix.
Phoenix is still on the roster.
No, he's not.
He's not?
No.
I thought he was.
This was like a week or so ago. Yeah, he's been done.
Well, I mean, do you team him back up with Penta?
Got to follow your bro, man.
I mean, I don't disagree, but at the same time, you've kind of been pushing Penta as like an ultimate singles competitor. If you put him right back into a tag, I mean, I guess in fairness, I do think the tag team scene at WWE needs to be refreshed, and that'd be a good way to do it.
It would, or you can pair him with Chad Gable and have him go against Penta. We'll see.
You know what's okay? All right, listen. I don't know who's going to find this funny. Somebody on Twitter gave Chad Gable a nickname yesterday. They called him El Magador.
I don't get it, but that's fine. You have to explain that to me later. All right, the next thing that's Xing, but you thought it was funny.
It's hilarious.
All right, the next thing is Xing is Superman.
I don't know if it was some new stuff that dropped or if it was just a conversation, but I did see James Gunn's Superman was getting a lot of conversation last night, but I do not know why.
There's like a video out there of Superman, excuse me, supposedly doing selfies. but he's in different scenes in front of things, including flying with his arm out like he's doing the selfie.
The actor on set, or like Superman in the movie is gonna be taking selfies.
It looks like it, but it's not. It's. I think they're just doing that. There's no. Listen, I know that would bother you, and then you wouldn't want to go see Superman. You're probably not going to go see it anyway. I'm looking forward to it.
Wait. Hang on. My favorite Supermans are when Superman is humanized, right? Like the whole problem with Superman.
Which is what this is supposed to be.
Right.
So
I'm actually, to be clear, I'm excited about this movie. The whole problem I've never been a Superman fan, and the whole problem has always been that he's the most OP dude.
He's not, though.
In comic book, the golden era. Superman was OP because basically anytime there was a problem, it was always like, oh, here's this new power I never told you about. And it got a little boring because he was the one comic book hero that, like, you knew just was never going to fail.
Because of him, kryptonite is a
I
everyday
agree.
word. What is this player's kryptonite? I mean, that's a weakness, I'm guessing. All right, I'm not guessing. I know it is. All right, the next thing it's Xing is Tanya Harding.
Oh, she's doing more celebrity boxing.
No,
She has asked for forgiveness.
She is Xing because of the track runner with the baton.
No.
So that's why she's Xing.
Dude, that girl.
She said she didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like I do my best to give people benefit of the doubt, but like, man, that's 4K video, and if you didn't mean to hit her, I feel bad for anyone that is ever in range of you anytime that you are ever holding anything, because it damn sure looked like you did. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for being here, everybody. I'll be back with you tomorrow, and then Lonzo and I are out Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. So come back for more tomorrow.
Dude, ice cream.
And then we'll see you Wednesday. Have a great day. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate. Later.
That clip always sounds cut off because I know it is, but it sounds cut off like there's going to be more to it. Like he was going to quote a George Thorogood song.
One Budweiser, one bourbon. All right, guys, sorry. Had to send that text, and now I have to split for A, professional reasons, and B, because Lonzo really wants ice cream. Okay, we really want ice cream. I also really want ice cream. So thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. Tell your friends about us. We're trying to get rich and famous. Have a lovely rest of your day. Come back tomorrow. Bye.